The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Speedball Mike Bailey. You're listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. Yosh.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith and Chris Samsa. On today's show, we will preview World Tag League and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Josh, Chris, how you guys doing?
The dream team is back together, and I haven't done a podcast in a while, so I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, it's good to have you, man.
Let's go.
Josh is sad.
Josh is very, very upset that I've joined the show today.
Well, actually, I didn't know you were going to until yesterday, and Jeremy's like, Sam's is joining us, and I was like, for what? And he's like, to preview the World Tag League, and I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, that makes sense.
Well, I mean, here I'll lift the curtain. Jeremy messaged me yesterday, was like, hey, could you do Keeping It Strong Style tomorrow? And I was like, man, I got a lot going on. I'm not in podcasting mode. I have a lot happening in my real life, and the room that I'm sitting in right now is like full of all sorts of boxed goods and laundry, and I literally haven't sat at this desk probably since the G1. So I was like, it's kind of short notice. And then the news about Kevin came out that he's done, right? And Kevin's my boy. So I had told Jeremy that I don't think I could swing it, but maybe next week, or we had actually planned on next week. And I was like, and then the news about Kevin came out, and I was like, I should have a chat about this because he's been really important to me. So, I thank you guys for, making the space on the digital chat here. But also to preview World Tag League, which I am unironically excited for, as opposed to most years when I am ironically excited for World Tag League. So I guess the fate aligned, and here we are, ready to chat.
The only thing though is you picked the wrong podcast, because yes, we'll give you the platform to say how you feel, but Kevin's never going to listen to this. He only listens to JCast.
No, precisely, which is why I can be honest. I can't be running in on JCast. People actually listen to that.
Oh man,
I gotta keep it prim and proper when I talk when I'm there. Just like they do.
Yeah.
Oh man,
those prim and proper super JCast voice. But I do know that new friend of New Japan, Walker Stewart, is listening to almost everything, trying to get involved in the communities. So I would imagine if we get a link up, he might drop his ears on it.
Yeah.
Walker, do yourself a favor. drop the other pods, save yourself the time, use that extra time to do, more beneficial things for your career in Japan. This is the only show you need to be listening to. The smartest guys in the room with the hot takes.
Yeah, with the
never sure if you're going to put yourself over or self-deprecate. So I wasn't sure where you were headed with that.
Oh yeah, I've been chatting up Walker. I think we're gonna have him on the show sometime soon. But yeah, he's been killing it on commentary, doing great stuff. And we have a social suplex connection to him. He's friends with our boy Floyd Johnson, host of All Things Elite. They've done some commentary work together in the Oklahoma scene. Nice. So I mean, it's destined. He's a social suplex guy.
There you go. The inside track. You can finally get the commentary guest.
Well, I mean, we've actually had like pretty much everybody else. We've had Rocky. We've had Chris Charlton.
Yep.
Got you.
Mavs?
Yeah, we had Mavs Gillis.
We had Mavs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm the ghost commentator, so you know. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right?
Well, I guess Gina.
Jeremy was interviewed by Liger once.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You got to go back and get Matt Stryker. Maybe we can land a JR.
Yeah, no, he's home recovering right now. Yeah, he's got nothing better to do, right?
Yeah.
What would that conversation
loves to talk.
like?
It'd probably be great, to be perfectly honest. I'd listen.
I don't understand the strong style, gentlemen. What's this fighting spirit?
He's just still mad at Jay White.
No, honestly, I know that there's a lot of things he did wrong when he was like commentating for New Japan, but the one thing that's always been left in my brain and I can't get rid of it is during the match between Ibushi and Nakamura when he's calling his first card, and Nakamura is like standing there and he's like taking shots from Ibushi and he's no-selling them, and like JR's like, yeah, ooh, that's tough. And I was like, what? Like, he needs Vince in his ear. Like, this is not good.
Oh, man.
That was a great show, though.
Yeah. It was. Well, we're going to kick off the show talking about Kevin Kelly. So, the official press release came out from NJPW1972.com that Kevin Kelly would be effective immediately leaving the commentator desk for English coverage for New Japan. New Japan announced that he will not call Wrestle Kingdom 18 and New Year's Dash in January, which was the original plan for his swan song and to leave on the high note there. So due to family commitments, he's not going to be doing that, and effective immediately, he's no longer with the company. Also, he's doing commentary for Collision for AEW on Saturday nights. But yeah, end of an era here of Kevin Kelly and commentating. So I'm just going to open it up. I guess, Chris, we'll start with you. Since you've worked so closely with him, what are your thoughts from this announcement?
So, yeah, of course. So, I think when we look back at Kevin's time with New Japan, I think we'll realize how important he was to kind of growing and building this community, just via social media, and being a real believer in the product and a real believer in, what New Japan was bringing to professional wrestling. And I think, the fan base has wavered on how much they enjoy Kevin's commentary, and Kevin's style has evolved over the years in regards to his approach to it. But big match Kevin Kelly, big show Kevin Kelly was just on a different level. And when New Japan was really operating at that level, Kevin was the perfect announcer for New Japan, right? Like, he would hit the mark every show. I mean, I just remember that 2019 G1 and the 2018, all the big stuff in 2018 with Omega and Okada and Tanahashi's rebirth and Ibushi's run, like all these big runs that we're going to remember from kind of our era of New Japan. We're going to remember his voice calling it, I think, because he was the introducer of all these people. And he was such a great, he has been such a great storyteller. And a lot of that stuff he had to dig in and find on his own. And he was a guy who was willing to dive in and do that, and meet with wrestlers and talk to people and get a vibe on what was going on and pay attention to what people were talking about, and also like use resources that are made available to him. I mean, like I tagged Kevin in a tweet during the 2019 G1, and I was like, hey, this is this neat little thing that I came up with, like take a look, let me know if you find it useful. And like from there it turned into like, hey, could you look at this, or like what about this? And then it became me studying what Kevin or Chris or all the other different commentators like find to be important. And then that's what made my work tick, and it's given me this lane in this space. And I obviously have mostly Kevin to thank for that. And I consider Kevin a friend now, and we've gotten breakfast, we've gotten hot dogs, a lot of handshakes. So I owe a lot of my role in this community to Kevin, and then also like connecting me with Chris and keeping me with in the community by connecting me with Walker, and then also like using some of my stuff on AEW. Like that's so cool, right? Like, I mean, to me, and I hope to the people that appreciate it, and I know that there are people that would rather talk about, anything other than, real, quote unquote, real sports stuff in their pro wrestling. But, I think that there's a lane for it. And, it's been really fun for me over the last 4.5 years. And, I'm just happy to have met Kevin and to know that he's leaving New Japan for good reason. And he's excited about his role in AEW, and it's better for his life and his family. And, I think I mean, how many times could you take a 14-hour flight to Japan, especially like during the pandemic, and sitting in tiny hotel rooms for 2 weeks so you can call Wrestle Kingdom, like, next to the ring in 2021, like all that stuff. It's both impressive, but you can recognize how draining that would be. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of sentiments out there on Twitter, thank you, Kevin. And, a lot of the wrestlers really appreciate the work that he did to help their career and give guidance and advice as a guy who's been around since, God, the 90s, right? 80s, 90s. Yeah. I mean, like he's been up to it. So, I'm glad that he had this kind of career rebirth through New Japan, because I think he's a valuable asset to any pro wrestling company. So bummed he won't be ringside. I'm excited for my new pal Walker Stewart. I'm excited for commentary teams going forward. I think there's a lot of transition happening in New Japan, and it's almost a fitting time for Kevin to step away. And so that kind of this next generation will have a new set of voices telling their story. And I think it's kind of neat too, right? I mean, I think that's, I think there's something poetic about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that's very well said, Chris. And I won't belabor a lot of the same points that you made, because I feel like you kind of covered the gamut there and did a great job. But one thing that is really great about Kevin's tenure with the company is that it coincided with, obviously in recent years, yes, there was the pandemic and everything he did through that. But when you think of the golden era of the boom period most recently experienced in New Japan, and you think about all those classic Kenny Omega and Okada and Naito and Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi matches and Tomohiro Ishii matches and Shingo matches, and the list goes on and on. So many incredible classics with Hiromu and Desperado, and the list goes on. And yes, there is a team that's attached to it, but like the one voice that is most closely associated with this era is Kevin Kelly's voice. Much in the same way when you think back to like the Attitude Era, there's JR. Much in the same way when you think back to like, Mid-South, there's like I forget the names, but there's like Gordon Soley and different people like that. Basically, with this product kind of expanding, he is like the definitive voice of that product and of this generation of that time. And it is exciting that we're going to have a new experience with a new commentator and a different style, and things are evolving, and it does really feel like we're moving into a new era. But you have to thank Kevin. And like you mentioned, not just the fact that he's involved you in the community, but you kind of look at his involvement. I know I was jesting earlier, but like him getting involved with JCast and with Voices of Wrestling and their, yearbook projects and everything that kind of did to kind of build that aspect of the community, and his relationships with different online presences and Twitter personalities, and kind of just create like fostering that sense of community. And even when there were issues like with Bushi Road and them striking down people's gifts and stuff like that, like unfortunately he wasn't able to rectify that situation, but he did go to bat for the fans, and he did go to bat for people that are in that community. And that's more than you can say for a lot of other people that probably wouldn't have done the same thing in his same circumstance or position. So I only do regret we were on many occasions supposed to have Kevin come on this show, and it never did happen. And now it's like, dang, it's probably not going to happen. But I am sad to see him go, because I really love Kevin Kelly's commentary, and it sucks in a certain way, but it is exciting all at the same time.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss Kevin's work, and even just thinking back to like Ring of Honor throughout like the early 2010s before he kind of was full-time New Japan, like all the great stuff he was doing there with him and Nigel and him and Steve Corino on commentary. Like he's called a lot of great matches over the last like 15 to 20 years between Ring of Honor and New Japan. But yeah, obviously it's just stellar work for New Japan. He's going to be, like you guys mentioned, like the voice of like the golden era when you look back at some of these G1s, your Okada, Omegas, a lot of these big rivalries. His voice is going to be that iconic voice. And I did get a chance to meet him during WrestleMania weekend in Dallas. Was that 2 years ago now? And he knew who I was, and knew Keepin It Strong Style, and we chatted and got a pick, and he was super nice. And yeah, I think he's done a lot to spread New Japan. I think his work has obviously helped podcasts like us grow and get fans invested from the West into New Japan, and helping tell those stories that we didn't always quite get with just the Japanese commentary. So yeah, his work has been amazing. Definitely gonna miss it. It's definitely it's a soundtrack to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's that best friend moving away to a different state, a different school. He's still here, but he's not going to be with us all the time. And I'm gonna miss him on the call. But yeah, again, excited for Walker. But yeah, Kevin has just led us on this journey for last 10 or so years in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's been great.
I think of it more as like a absentee father walking out.
Wow.
Just playing.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I mean, let's give the flowers, right? Best television announcer, Wrestling Observer Newsletter, 2018, 2019, 2022, and best announcer of the decade, 2010s. I mean, like that's a lot, right? For a promotion that, until really Kevin showed up in 2015, like didn't really have consistent English commentary, right? And he dove in and he was without a doubt the best in the game. I mean, 2022, that's last year, and he won best TV announcer, right? And like 2022 is not an easy year to call New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not that it was bad by any means, but we're not talking the peak, right? We're not talking 2017, 2018, right? Like we're talking the spin out of the pandemic. And, he still kept it together, and he brought in voices like Gino, and really you can hear the development of Chris Charlton as an announcer.
Yeah.
Through Kevin's guidance, and Rocky, and all those guys. And I truthfully, like the thing I was looking forward to, and I think there's a lot of people like me, the thing I was looking forward to is having Walker and Kevin at the table once I heard that Walker was going over for Wrestle Kingdom, just as that like passing of the torch, right? But the other thing is, I think Walker has done such a nice job with specifically his first couple of shows that were actually in Japan, like the New Japan proper shows, that I think Kevin was like, they're good. Like they're I think my perception is that Kevin cares deeply about the community and the people around it, and leaving it in good hands. And I know he took that really seriously. He didn't just leave it up to New Japan to go find a guy, right? He found a guy that they think can grow into the role and really excel and really take it for the next 8 to 10 years, and maybe win a couple of Wrestling Observer newsletter best TV announcer gigs. So I think when something's in good hands, it's okay to step away. And I kind of get it. Some people know I was a touring musician for a long time through my 20s, and we never, the group that I was with, we had a good run of success. We did a lot of touring, we did a lot of recording and stuff, and we never did a final show. We just faded, right? And we just decided we probably weren't going to keep doing this, right? And so I kind of get not wanting that, and I don't know that that's exactly the feeling of the situation, but I can understand being okay and saying all right, you guys are good, right? Like we knew kind of the band and the group that was going to kind of take our fan base and continue on with them, essentially. Like we had basically handed them off, and we were like, all right, our people are still going to have somewhere cool to hang out and have a community, right? And I think my perception is that Kevin gets that, right? And he's okay to not make Wrestle Kingdom this year about him. Plus, who wants to do a 15-hour flight? I mean, it's, again, for the 100th time. I mean, I can only imagine how many times he's made that flight. That's insane.
Yeah. Also, too, I think another cool thing, we mentioned Chris Charlton, him sticking up for Chris. There was a time where
hell yeah,
Bushi Road or TV Asahi, one of them wanted to remove Chris Charlton from commentary, and I think him putting his neck out there for Chris and getting him back in the booth. And now, I mean, I can't imagine Chris not being there. He has grown into a commentator and also helping Walker Stewart, and I thought him and Walker were a great team, and Chris did a great job during that Omino Ospreay main event. So yeah, Kevin, like you mentioned, Josh, sticking up for the fans, sticking up for people in the locker room, his people he's working with. Yeah, great guy.
And there's a lot of things too that he did that we won't ever know about or ever see, but there's definitely things you can point to, like taking time to do retro recordings for matches that are decades old, just to have more new content in the middle of the pandemic, stuff like that. Those videos that he was narrating for, the English portion of YouTube, and there's a bunch of
the recount. The recount. There's been a bunch of things that he's done, and then I'm sure that there, even the times when he wasn't able to come to Japan, but he would get on the delay and record solo shows in the middle of gymnasiums that nobody gave a fuck about. Just so we had some English commentary.
Waking up to record New Japan Road Night 21.
Yeah.
Nothing gave me greater joy than knowing Kevin was going to do solo commentary on a Road to whatever show, right? Because I was like, this is my moment, right? This is where I was like, hey, I've said this on other podcasts. If Kevin was doing solo commentary, I would intentionally send him everything I could dig up, right? Any stat, anything. Those packets it was just like a data dump, because I was like, pal, you gotta fill the air. So here's everything I can think of to hopefully help you out, because you're talking to nobody. And there's no crowd noise for half of these shows because it's all pandemic stuff, just wild stuff. And just, the man was in his basement doing live commentary at 3 a.m. or whatever.
That's what I'm talking about.
The dude went for it. and you know what? And it wasn't just because it was his job. It was because he knew people cared. Right. And I think that, there are guys like us who will watch New Japan with Japanese commentary, right? I don't think anyone on this, podcast has any issue doing that. There are also tons of people who will not watch anything until that English commentary goes up, because it's easier, it's more fun for them. Like they want someone to tell them the story, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And with that said, I think that there's a ton of value to the English commentary existing, and I think Kevin knew that, and I think that that's why he continued on the way he did, and I think that it's really honorable, it's really cool, and the man deserves to stay in America for more than 6 months straight. I mean, like he's been jet setting around the world, and he's he's as good as it gets. And I think he's really come into his own in the AEW role too. And I think hopefully he has that for years to come too, because I think that he could play a really key role in telling their stories too. So, hat tip to Kevin, and my greatest appreciation to him for kind of giving me a path in this whole thing.
Yeah,
thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, big thanks to Kevin for all his work, and wishing you the best in your future endeavors. So now let's kick it over to. I didn't mean that in the WWE.
You just vinced him.
you just future endeavored Kevin Kelly. What the fuck did he ever do to you?
I forget that's like so linked with them.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, do they?
No, they don't. Yeah,
they just let Sean Ross Sapp announce it now.
Yeah.
No, instead in New Japan, just a black and white graphic shows up. You're like, what the fuck?
Honestly, I saw that. So I was in a group chat or whatever, a pro wrestling group that I'm in, and I saw the line mark, the black and white line mark come up, and I was like, uh-oh, who's sick? And I was like, oh shit. That was my evening last night. So and then I tried to put together some verbose tweet, and I was just like, I don't really know what to say here. So
the moment I saw it, I was like, black and white logo, okay. Kevin Kelly's gone. Okay, I know what happens with the black and white logo. I've been worked before. You're not gonna get me again.
You think he's gonna show up at the Tokyo Dome?
Yeah, it's a fucking work. He's gonna
hold on. Is Kevin Kelly Z? Is he teaming with Yota Tsuji in the World Tag League?
Nah, pal, we know who Z is.
Listen,
somebody accidentally posted who Z is on the New Japan website.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I saw it. I know who it is. Yeah. If you don't think that we're gonna get
you think we're getting an angle at the commentary desk?
Who was the old president of? If you don't think that
Harold,
if you don't think that Kevin Kelly is gonna be running down to the ring like he's Harold May at Dominion, then you're fooling yourself.
A prepackaged video, him getting arrested.
You don't think we're gonna see Kevin Kelly in the shower in his high-rise apartment? Then you're fooling yourself.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I love that video so much. That Harold video where he's in a shower, it's so funny. It makes no sense at all, but it is so funny. Every now and then someone drops that somewhere, and I just like I'm reminded of its existence, and I just like giggle. I don't think Kevin's gonna do a shower video. I can ask him.
Well, it doesn't matter because, New Japan already fucking worked us with the black and white logo and anything else that they try to post with levity from here on out.
When's the last time the black and white logo was at work? Oh, never mind. Recently.
Kanemaru.
Yeah. But before that.
Never. They've already set the precedent now.
Yeah, it's true. They've ruined the black and white logo. We got to go. But on the Japanese website, it's the regular full color logo. So,
see?
Mixed bag.
Yeah,
they working. All right, guys.
Kevin, I will say, Kevin's always working one way or another. So let's not rule anything out.
Stone Cold was like, I saw the black and white logo, and I said, are they working or are they shooting?
All right, guys. Let's jump into previewing World Tag League 2023. So the tournament is going to kick off on Monday, November 20th from Korakuen Hall. We got 16 teams, 2 blocks, and the top 2 teams in each block will advance to a semi-finals final round on December 8th in Kirishima. And then the finals will take place the following night in Kumamoto. So we'll start with the A block. So we got Shota Umino and Ren Narita, their debut as a team together in the tournament. Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano, their 4th appearance in World Tag League. We have the United Empire team of Hanare and Great Okan with their 3rd appearance. The TMDK team of Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols with their 2nd tournament appearance. The Bullet Club War Dogs of Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd with their 2nd appearance. The House of Torture team with Evil and Yujiro Takahashi, their 4th appearance. Then Kaito Kiyomiya and Rihei Oiwa making their debut in the tournament. And the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona from the Mogul Embassy from AEW making their tournament debut. So how are we feeling about the A block here?
/ Ring of Honor.
Yes, they are 2/3 of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions.
Gosh, how could they let them go? With all those trios title defenses on their docket. I listen, this A block's fine. We'll talk. I'll go harder about B block because I love a tournament debut. But either way, I love to see Kiyomiya and Oiwa because I think that's Kiyomiya's whole role in Japanese pro wrestling right now is so interesting because Keno's trying to kick him out of Noah basically. Kevin Kelly's burying him on the way out. He just posted a tweet about Kiyomiya and how, he didn't really show up to the G1 and, whatever, right? So, and then you got Oiwa, who's a boss. This dude's he's got potential through the roof. So, love to see him getting involved in a meaningful way. Love the War Dogs. I think that they got to be, one of the favorites in the A block for sure. My dog's for real, right? And I'm actually sort of just surprised that this is Hayes and Nichols' 2nd tournament. I feel like they've just sort of been around for a long time. But I think I am wrong. So yeah, A block looks good. And Amino and Narita, I've said it privately. I think these two are going to have a match at Wrestle Kingdom. I hope that that's where this is headed. I hope this isn't just some long-term friendship that they're building. I hope that something happens, they split, and they have a match at Wrestle Kingdom. I think that would be a cool way to usher in what will eventually be kind of their generation. Something to look back on in 5, 10, 15 years as they're, headlining. So, yeah. I'm a fan of this tournament already. Just as the lineup has come out. I think Gates of Agony is just the right team to come over too, right? I think that they've got the look. It's easy for them to get over, right? They've got a real clean, style about them. And I think that stuff really resonates when you're only coming in probably for one hot run, right? So they're just the type of team that doesn't need a lot of character development. They're very clear who they are from the jump. So I'm excited to see them kind of thrive.
I called them the authors of pain earlier today on accident.
Sort of a fair comp. What are those dudes doing? Did they re-sign?
There was rumors that they're under WWE contract, I think, right now. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah.
I'd heard from a source that they were gonna be in the World Tag League, but it didn't pan out for some reason. I don't know. No, I'm just playing. That didn't happen. I don't know. It's a mixed bag here because I see a lot of potential for great matches and great stories, but I also I don't want to work myself into a frenzy because there's fresh matchups and fresh guys and try to convince myself that this is going to be better than it actually might end up being because I've watched so many of them. But I will say that it is a fresh field. There are a lot of guys that are probably, like Chris mentioned, don't have matches for the Tokyo Dome yet and are probably looking to either gain momentum going into the new year or even, in kayfabe, land a spot at the Tokyo Dome, which is, that kind of raises the stakes just a little bit. I'll throw it out there right away. I don't think Shota Umino and Ren Narita are, going to have dissension and split. I think that they're going to win this entire tournament. They're my early pick right out the gate. I think they're going to, because neither guy has a match at the Tokyo Dome. It's going to be them versus Bishamon in a profile spot. So I'm looking forward to that. Gates of Agony, big guys. I've seen them work a few times. I can't say anything negative, but I don't have too many positives yet. They're sort of an unknown commodity because to me, they're just Brian Cage's partners. But, this could be a breakout opportunity for them. And so hopefully that is the case. I'm totally perplexed about Oiwa and Kiyomiya being in this because it's like, I think the Oiwa thing is weird because Oiwa is supposed to be quote unquote on excursion, but this is like he's going to do an entire tour on his excursion in the World Tag League. And we saw him challenge for a title not too long ago. And so it's just kind of bizarre. Like I'd rather him be doing something worthwhile in Noah and just stay away for a bit until you're ready to come back, unless they're speeding it up and he's coming back now. I don't know. And then I don't know what the fuck to think. Like, if you'd asked me before the G1, a team with Kiyomiya and somebody else, like how well would they do in this tournament as an outsider, I would have told you they probably would have done really well. But at this point, I have no reason to think that they do well at all. Like, maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise me and like they'll be a finalist. Who knows? It's really fucking weird. But there are teams here that we've seen a lot of in the past, like Hanari and Okan and Ishii and Yano and Yujiro and Evil, and that kind of bogs me down a little bit because I know what I'm getting with all those teams. But on the good side, Ishii and Yano usually have one or two pretty standout performances. So
I think Oiwa, I feel like Oiwa's on the same path as Kosei Fujita. So And
so
I mean,
they're like 500.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Fujita came back for Junior Tag League, and he had a short, whatever run through Australia and New Zealand with Robbie Eagles and all that. So I was, sort of dipping his toe back in, even though he's sort of a Noah guy right now. And the Kiyomiya thing does add a little wrinkle to it because he's such an interesting dude. Everyone thinks he was going to fight Okada, and obviously that's not happening anytime soon. So I think that team is just interesting from almost a political standpoint, and also like the kind of short pseudo excursion thing that they're trying with both those guys. I think that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. So, because we're not looking at Umino and Narita, who were gone for 3 years before coming back, right? Like maybe they're just going to continually bring Oiwa back in until he's just back, right? So, but let me expand a little bit on my theory, or maybe it's, headcanon or hope that Umino and Narita.
Well, before you move on to that, I want to address one thing. So here's the thing, Fujita, him coming back works for me because he came back from Australia. That's far away, right? Mm-hmm. But Oiwa's next door.
It's not that. I mean, Australia, as countries go, Australia,
but it's like
about next door to Japan. It's not that far.
Right, but it's like when it's
almost the same time zone.
Your kid, you move out for college, but you're just living in the house next door that your grandma lives in, and you're not actually moved out. And then when you come home, you're not visiting from college. You're next door. That's what Oiwa is. Yeah, Oiwa lives next door. Like
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. But I do think it's obviously just something new that they're trying.
This is not an excursion. Man's down the street.
It is. Or maybe he'll have a second stop, right? Sometimes these guys go and do a couple different things, but
I know it's just funny.
Where would you rather he go?
Stay away. Don't come home.
Send him to CMLL. Learn some flips.
Send everyone to CMLL right now. Let's have a great time.
Freedoms.
I think I'm hopeful that they moved the Wrestle Kingdom time up so it starts earlier because they're going to add more matches. And we already know most of the title matches on the card, right? I'm hopeful that there's going to be 2 special singles matches, between
What about
Mino.
Stardom?
They have their whole own show that day. They're not on the card.
But you said that you want them to move it earlier, so you want
They already
Stardom
did.
They already did.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Where you been?
I don't pay attention to this stuff.
Not a live watcher. You don't have to set the clock. I've already got my alarm set for January 4th. Not really. No, my hope is that there's a singles match between Umino and Narita and a singles match between Yuma and Tsuji. And I think that would be a cool low on the card, right? Like, but something with some heart in it, and somehow you build it up. I mean, Yuma and Tsuji are already kind of bantering a little bit, and then Umino and Narita are obviously in a team together. I do think the other option is they win the damn thing, right? And then obviously no singles matches just yet, but I do think it'd be a cool way to usher in the new generation, something to look back on in a couple of years as they kind of ascend up the card. So that's the kind of second half of my hope there.
What about Fatal 4-Way?
Let's do it. That's a Fatal 4-Way I'd be super into.
It's like when the horsewomen all fought each other.
Because that's the generation, right? I mean, it's those 4 dudes. Maybe some other guys are going to get into it, but like that is still, they're always going to be ahead of Oiwa, Fujita, any of these guys that are, just about to either go on excursion or come back. So that's the kind of foursome that you think is going to carry the torch the next way. So, and they're all kind of associated with different units, sort of, right? Amino and Narita, obviously friendly, but I would like to see that kind of break apart, and so these guys can start to have their historic first couple of matches against each other back from excursion in their full new characters. Like, I just think it'd be really neat. So I'm hopeful, but I have found myself to be wrong when trying to book New Japan more often than I am right in the last 2 years. So don't count on it.
Yeah, I really like a lot of teams here in this A block. I'm in a kind of agreement with Josh here. I think that Umino and Narita are favorites to win. I think that they're at least going to get to the semifinals, if not the finals. But I do think that getting them in the tag team match would be a good spot for them. Get them in a title match, a big match. Bishamon has had really good tag defenses at Wrestle Kingdom, and so putting them in there with Bishamon and even kind of establishing them as the new kind of top domestic tag team for a little bit going into next year, I think that could be a cool thing to kind of get them going in the beginning of the year, and then you have them drop the belts, and that can lead into them feuding. Maybe one of them blames the other for dropping the belts, and then you kick off this whole second half of 2024 with them feuding. You put them in the same G1 block again. You put them in a New Japan Cup bracket. Like, there's so much stuff you can do with them kind of building this relationship and then eventually like winning the belt and then losing it. There's a whole like story arc you can do there with them. But I think in this A block, there's a lot of young and hungry teams that are going to want to really show out. So, I'm looking at the Bull Club War Dogs, Gabe, Kid, and Coughlin, like those guys, I think are going to work super hard in this tournament. I think Oiwa's going to work super hard, and I think he's probably going to eat a lot of falls, especially looking at some of the other teams in this block. I think he'll work really hard. I think Gates of Agony are definitely going to want to, grab this opportunity by the horns and really kind of show out because, they haven't had a lot of traditional tag matches on AEW or ROH programming. They've mainly been doing 6-man stuff like Josh mentioned with Brian Cage or, helping Swerve, breaking into people's houses. But yeah, I think those guys are definitely going to want, to grab this opportunity. And, Hasten Nichols, they're good. I think Hanare and Ocon, especially Hanare, he always kind of makes the most of his opportunities. I think he's going to look good. So yeah,
drop someone on his head,
Yeah. So yeah, there's, I know House of Torture.
Watch that first Tenari match, all right? It's going to be a banger. I don't know who it's against right now, but damn it, he's going to come out swinging.
Yeah. I know House of Torture is in here, and you have Yano Ishii, but we've seen Yano Ishii in the past, and they've had good stuff, and so yeah, I think
I like the Yano Ishii pairing way more than I like the Yano Tanahashi pairing because like Ishii doesn't give a shit what Yano's like up to. Ishii's like, tag me in, I will wrestle. you do whatever shenanigans you want, but like when I'm in that ring, I'm just gonna go. And that's a fun dynamic because like it sort of brings a little something different out of Yano, and they're not doing this bebop tag team thing with Tanahashi and all that. And like I was excited to see that this was the Yano team because it is a good time. And there's almost always a match in World Tag League that these guys are in where Ishii is the legal man like the entire match. Like Yano is just like kind of there. And it's always one of the best matches of the tournament too. So keep an eye out for that match where Ishii's just the guy the whole time.
Listen, I know we're going to go over this, so I don't want to, step on the lead too much, but you mentioned who is Hinari wrestling on the first night. It's Narita and Umino.
Let's go.
So their tournament's over.
So he better be careful.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he could get some major heat dropping one of those dudes on their heads, but that'll be fun though. Korakuen, right?
Yeah, Korakuen.
Yeah, it's the main event.
First 2 nights.
That's gonna be sick, actually.
Yeah, I think this tournament's gonna be a lot of fun. I think, and I know a lot of people. It's the running meme. World Tag League. Who watches that? Who's gonna do all that stuff? But yeah, I think the tournament. We've reviewed now. This will be like our 6th World Tag League. I think now that we've watched and reviewed, and so I think this is like one of the more exciting lineups that we've watched over the years.
I'll be out here
since the first one we did.
Yeah,
I'll be out here counting tags. running average number of tags per win and loss for all. Yeah,
this be like Michael Cole tag. Just like
tag.
You need to we need to get like an AI program that can count that shit for you,
brother. I'm working on a lot that is sort of like that. Not necessarily that, but that's where. So okay, I'm sure we're going to talk about the New Japan World app at some point, but 2x speed does exist on the app on all platforms. Just putting it out there for everyone. Not saying I recommend it. I'm just saying it's there. If you're a guy that wants to count the number of tags that happen in a match on an undercard and freaking God knows where, that's handy. I'm not saying I recommend it, but it exists.
Well, the reason I mentioned that, and I think it's something that's preliminary right now, but like they were saying, could this be the future of boxing? And I saw where the AI program was literally registering.
It's like AI CompuBox.
Yeah, and it could actually in real time tell what was actually happening. And I was like, wow, there's a lot more comprehensive than the scoring we have right now. You could probably figure out who actually won the match just using AI from now on. But if it was you could just like count all your stats using something like that.
Yeah, I mean, going into like the CompuBox world is something that I've talked to some people about in regards to pro wrestling. There are obviously people that do that already, but Craig from PW Musings and all that stuff, like he does some really cool stuff. So, but it's all manual, and everything that I've ever done for Tag League and things like that has also been manual, right? But the really interesting stuff for Tag League is like who's legal for how long, and who takes the falls, right? Like, because falls in Japanese pro wrestling are so important, like who's actually getting pinned and who's getting the pin, right? Mm-hmm. So those are the things that you can kind of really dig in on, and those are a little easier to track. But since I'm sort of into this tournament, I think I am going to do my full spectrum of stuff that I have done for tag leagues in the past when I used to have much more time to dedicate. But those are also like single block 17 team, whatever, 14 or 16 team tournaments, and it's just like the content farm for December. And this, we've gone back to 2 blocks, which is tremendous, and yes. I think teams are significantly more interesting than just throwing a ton of guys out there to get some paydays. We don't have something like a Makabe team or anything like that. And sometimes that was fun, but it was fun for like 2 batches, and it wasn't fun for 15.
Yeah. There's Evil Yujiro.
Yeah, but that's just part of the gig with New Japan now.
It's the same shit.
Think about this though. The last New Japan match that Kevin Kelly called was Evil versus Sonata.
Oh no.
Sad.
I mean, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to get around to watching that, by the way. So
I'm sure that'll be in one of our categories for some kind of award.
Yeah, award season literally, the end of Keeping It Strong Style's New Japan year ends on November 20th, with coinciding with the start of this. So we're like 1 week out. So hopefully New Japan Road produces like, a match of the year contender to
sneak on the ballot.
Sneak on the ballot, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Show is really trying to make that KOPW this weekend. Big deal. I assume that's in the preview section later.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's jump to this B block here. So we got Bishamon, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto. This is their 5th tournament. They've 2-time World Tag League winners, so the current IWGP Tag Team Champions. We have Hikuleo and El Phantasmo making their debut. They are the current Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions. We got Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata making their debut in the tournament. The Just 5 Guys team of Taichi and Yuya Uemura making their debut. We have Yota Tsuji and Z making their tournament debut. Soberano Jr. and Atlantis Jr. making their tournament debut. Monster Sauce of Lance Archer and Alex Zane making their tournament debut. And the Bullet Club Rogue Army team of Bad Luck Fale and Jack Bonza making their tournament debut.
The wrong Bullet Club Rogue Army members. It should have been Liber Lucci.
Caveman Ugg.
And Caveman Ugg. So they got the wrong guys. And also, you were mentioning earlier, Chris, the whole thing with Makabe, they got Fale on here. It's the same shit. Same thing.
That's a fair point. So
I also forgot that Suzuki and Nagata were in this, so they're now my new pick to win the entire thing. So.
That would rule. Here's what I'll say. I think if you liked the A block of the G1 with all the tournament debuts and the champion, right? Like it's the same cookie cutter thing, right? You got the champion in a block with a bunch of newcomers, new teams, new guys, etc. So if you were sort of into that dynamic, I think the B block is the block for you.
What do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I love tournament debuts, no matter what tournament we're talking, because I think that it's so interesting to see guys step up for a good, healthy amount of matches and see where they land, right? So, and Lance Archer in Japan is a great time. So I'm stoked to see him coming back. I sort of wish the AEW tag team was the Righteous instead of Gates of Agony, because I think that would be cool to have the whole act over for all sorts of shenanigans. But you got to keep Jake the Snake on AEW TV, so I'm sure he'll be hanging out with the Righteous somewhere. So
just snapping along, man. One of the best theme songs they got over there. So
I wasn't sure even who the Righteous are.
That's
you're doing great, Josh.
Balloon Guy Vincent, Big Dutch.
All right.
Original members of Matt Taven's Kingdom.
I don't know. So the burning question I have is, who's the better old man tag team, Suzuki and Nagata, or like 2005 Ric Flair and Roddy Piper? Which who do you got?
I'm going to Suzuki Nagata.
I think that's gonna be a great time.
I'm gonna need someone to fire up the Fire Pro and produce that match for me, but not them in their primes. It needs to be the old man versions of all 4 guys.
Oh man. But yeah, I think B block is also going to be a lot of fun. A ton of tournament debuts here, pretty much all of them except Bishamon. So that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, 2 sets of tag team champions in there. So let's talk about Yota Tsuji's.
Does Archer team with the Righteous? Is that what you guys were saying?
Yeah, so
they're aligned now on AEW TV. Yeah,
new little faction.
I did notice that he's missing the A1 for this.
Oh yeah, the Continental Classic.
Oh, the A1. I was like, what are we talking about? Steak sauce.
But let's talk about Yota Tsuji's tag team partner, the Z. So there was a house show in New Japan this weekend, and he mentioned that his partner's not an LIJ member. It's a friend of his from Excursion. It's not an X, but it's a Z. I did not see this mystery image that went up. My guess was Zach Knight from Rev Pro.
Nice.
No.
My guess was Zeus from the movie No Holds Barred, starring Terry Bollea.
Wait, no, Zeus is a real wrestler in Japan.
No, the real Zeus, not the copycat guy from
The
Japan.
real Zeus is a Greek myth.
No, the real Zeus was, he was in Friday. He was Debo. That's Zeus. He also wrestled in WCW under the name Z Gangsta.
So who are we gonna spoil it? Who is this?
Yeah, so if you guys don't want to know, maybe fast forward just a little bit, because I'm sure we're not going to talk too much about it. But I had his name. What is it? It's
Zandokan Jr.
Zandokan Jr. Yeah, I've got it here.
Who is
Zandokan
that?
Jr.
He's
from CMLL.
He's from CMLL. He tagged with Yoda Tsuji twice while Tsuji was spending time in CMLL. He is a rookie. He doesn't even have a cage match profile.
Wow.
So we're talking baby, right?
I mean, Neither do I, and I'm pretty good, so it makes sense.
I've seen that match.
I've had 2 matches.
All right, well, I saw one, and I didn't need to see a second.
I bet you I'm better than Zandokan Jr.
What I would like to see is Jeremy's backyard wrestling, but
that's available.
No one has sent me a link. So.
I'll send you a link after the recording. Yeah, John Jers is still there.
But what you gotta watch, John Jers is okay, but what you have to watch. Actually, let me put you guys onto some shit right now. If you're listening, go to YouTube and look up Jade versus Sick Nick. That is the greatest fucking match in the history of backyard wrestling that you'll ever see in your life.
Oh my gosh.
I'm probably not going to do that, but
no, trust me. I wouldn't steer you wrong. You got to watch.
Listen, you send me links to everything else. Send me these.
That match got memed up quick in our group chat.
Can we get it in an Instagram reel so Josh will send it to me?
They got this girl who was a girlfriend of one of the dudes who decided she wanted to backyard wrestle too. But the only move she knew how to do was a DDT. So it's just her hitting a DDT over and over and over. But then, and she's little. This girl's real little, probably sub 120 pounds. And this dude she's wrestling, Sick Nick, he's huge. He is a big motherfucker. And they're wrestling in a gymnastic gym. Yeah, a gymnastic, a tumbling gym, and they got the pad set out, and he is choke slamming and just power bombing, just destroying this girl. It's but she'll just stand up and no sell it, and then DDT. It's so good. Oh my god, nothing Jeremy ever did in his career is as good as this, except for he did promote it. So.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Good for you guys. Good for you guys. I've never actually done any wrestling. I took a power bomb on a trampoline once, and I think that was it for me. Yeah, so that is, I'm not going to say it again because people have probably fast forwarded if they don't want to know, but I don't know that it's super meaningful, but yeah, it doesn't have a cage match profile. Lucha Blog said he would be, when the rumors were coming out about him being Tsuji's partner, even Lucha Blog was like, I'd be really surprised. He's a rookie, but he did just go over to, he did something with Rev Pro. He's getting out there and doing some stuff. So, but what I find interesting is that Tsuji's bringing what it's essentially going to be a pin eater with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in a certain way going to protect Tsuji, because Tsuji, I think they see big superstardom for Tsuji. So kind of neat that he's going to bring a guy that can probably, my bet would be that their, winning fall to losing fall ratio is heavily in the favor of Tsuji, unless it's going to be something meaningful. So, for my purposes, I'm watching that first match with, you got Tsuji and partner against Taichi and Uemura at Korakuen. So I think that's going to be an interesting interesting finish of that match.
Yeah. And also, too, another interesting note with CMLL guys. So we got Soberano and Atlantis Jr. teaming, and there was just a big angle in CMLL where Soberano Jr. turned heel. And Atlantis Jr. is one of the top baby faces. So, totally
not gonna matter here.
Ignoring the CMLL kayfabe and making these guys team up.
As is tradition.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not gonna matter whatsoever. Like, unless they label every match. What was that called? Like, Revelos or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Incredibly, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. One thing I did want to point out. So, it's and this is obviously speculation, but it just seems pretty blatant what happened here. It seemed like Yota Tsuji and Shingo was the plan for the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly he was booked into the match with Tama Tonga, wins the title. Now he's going to the Dome in that singles capacity. And now they've got Zoltan Jr. Chris is shaking.
Man.
What's his name? Z.
We're not supposed to say it again.
They got Z.
We're not trying to spoil here.
Well, I said Zoltan. His name's not Zoltan.
That's like true. His name is not Zoltan.
Z gangster.
Zoltan is from Dude, Where's Your Car?
I knew that was from something.
Zoltan. Anyways, but yeah, they inserted Z, and it kind of feels like Z was like a late replacement because there was an audible and a shifting around of the card. And I can't say that.
You think Shingo Win and Never was an audible?
Yeah, I do. I don't think that was originally going to happen.
Feels like it because they were teasing Shingo and Tsuji.
But why?
Teaming.
When you're just going to run a rematch, why would you belt up Shingo when you're just going to run the match that you were going to run anyway?
I couldn't say that I'm privy to all the inner workings of that aspect, but they seemed pretty clear that they were showcasing Tsuji and Shingo on the last tour as a tag team leading into this tournament, and then suddenly he's not on the tour, and then Tsuji's got a rookie from CMLL, which is kind of unusual. It seems like this was all a shift.
Yeah, I mean, they made the pumping blaster. The
pumping, yes,
spare
the pumping.
Yeah, they had a
blaster.
finish and everything.
Yeah, the pumping blaster is also how I impregnated my wife.
Oh man, that's a comment.
What's funny about that is when we talked about the pumping blaster, I made the same joke at the time, and Jeremy laughed, and this is the second time he's heard it, and he's still popped just as hard.
It's funnier because
Chris made it.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
That's fair. Sometimes it's the delivery.
Yeah. Oh man.
Also,
it's true.
It's a real situation that I'm in.
Oh man. So yeah, we're way off course here.
Anyways, what do you guys think about
World Tag League season, baby?
What do you guys think about Rogue Army? I do want to say this: the fact that granted, I'm glad we got a lot of new teams here and everything, and I don't know how the decision was arrived at, but the fact that West Coast Wrecking Crew is not in this tournament is such a deep, egregiously oversight. I'm kind of sick to my stomach that they didn't do that. And I'm not even a Team Filthy guy or anything like that, but after all this time and them being associated with the company and them still not getting the invitation for this tournament, if honestly, they should probably just go somewhere else and stop working for New Japan. All of them, Team Filthy, the whole thing, because they don't value them and they're not using them.
Yeah, we did have two questions here. Ethan in Discord says, is there a reason why West Coast Wrecking Crew isn't a part of the tag league, or is New Japan just not utilizing them? And then Barry Wells said, no tag league again for Isaacs and Nelson. Should they just walk away from New Japan at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I was really, really surprised to not see them pop up on this list. I don't know who they would replace, right? But
Rogue Army.
Sure. I mean, honestly, fine, but
I mean, I love Soberano and Atlantis, but
I think that's neat because you don't always get CMLL heavyweights.
Right.
So I'm a fan of that, but I hear you. Or I mean, Gates of Agony, right? I mean, like those are kind of the teams that I think would be on the block or on the cusp. So yeah, I mean, devastated for those dudes. Truthfully, I think that they've shown up and shown out every chance they've gotten with New Japan as a great tag team, and this would be the perfect space for them to really shine and have a great time. And yeah, bummed for them. I have some hope that some of these US based guys are going to get their opportunities as we go here. But I mean, if you can't get into World Tag League, that's heartbreaking. And they've posted that too. I mean, those dudes are bummed. They really wanted in on this, and it's a drag. It's a drag to see.
This is a company that brought Sammy Callahan in for World Tag League. we can't bring in Nelson and Isaacs.
There have been some really random tag league. What was the Breaker? And it was like 2016.
Oh yeah, they had those two guys that nobody knew who the fuck they were. We never saw them again.
Breaker. Brian Breaker and Leland Reyes.
Yeah, they were just, but that was a different era. But they just showed up, and then
where are they now?
Nobody knows who those people are.
I'm looking at a picture of them, and I still don't know who they are.
Yeah. And here's the thing: is New Japan isn't. It's great. We're having World Tag League. We do it every year, but no one here is going to sit, try and falsely claim that New Japan is a tag team company. It's one of their lowest priorities when it comes to booking, importance. And then you've got West Coast Wrecking Crew. That's an actually truly established tag team. That's all they do. That's all they are. And they've been looking for an avenue to break in, and they work their asses off. And you've got the tournament set up. And truthfully, most of the teams, I'm glad that they're here, but most of them are thrown together. And West Coast Wrecking Crew can't get on after all these years. It sucks.
Yeah, definitely. I don't get why you wouldn't bring them over. They did the whole angle too with Tom and Fred Ross are shaking hands. That's another team.
Oh, that was weird. That seemed like they might be on the thing too.
Right. And so I don't get why, those guys who are been the backbone of the Strong brand and throughout the pandemic and through these, strong tape-ins and these strong pay-per-views, why, what the call was not to go with those guys. So yeah, it is devastating. And yeah, they tweeted about it. I feel bad for those guys, but at this point, I'm if Noah called them or All Japan or some other promotion wants to utilize them, I would take the opportunity, because clearly New Japan with a 16-team field couldn't find a spot for them.
I would imagine Noah's called, because they are collecting them all when it comes to American wrestlers that are kind of on the cusp. So, yeah, I would be bummed to see them kind of dip their toe in somewhere else, but
at this point,
I get it. Yeah, sure. You also want to see them thrive, right? And who knows what the U.S. schedule looks like going forward too. So you gotta, if New Japan wants to maintain some relationships, they gotta get them over, right? They gotta bring them over to Japan, because that's where most of the work's gonna end up.
Yeah. That's why you join New Japan at the end of the day. No offense to Strong, but you don't join New Japan so you can be on Strong. You want to be in Japan. You want to be a part of these tours, some part of these tournaments. Tom not being in G1 this year, these guys not being in World Tag League.
It's weird. It's weird because Tom Lawler was so over.
Well, I'm sure there's a few other guys that we probably want to talk about here before we move off. But one thing that I noticed that's a little bit different and interesting this year about the format of the tournament is two teams are going to get through from each block. And the format's going to be that the number one team from A block will fight the number two team from B block, and then vice versa. And that'll be a semifinal. And whoever gets through from those two matches will face in the final. So that kind of adds a little bit of another wrinkle. We've seen this in other tournaments, but we haven't seen it with the tag league recently. So, that's kind of going to give us, it makes it harder for us to just look at the final night and just predict, all right, here's the most important matches. Here's the one team that's going to get through. You kind of have to book it a little. You have to look at it a little bit more holistically to figure out what two teams you think are going through.
Yeah. So speaking of that, what two teams do you guys think are going through from each block?
I think Bishamon goes through, and B block. I mean, it's easy to say Hikuleo and El Phantasmo because they're the strong champs, but I don't know that carries that much weight.
I would go Bishamon and Taichi and
Uemura. Yeah, that was my other choice there.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that team, but I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they're portrayed, since Uemura has essentially kind of been slotted as like a lower rung, guy in Just Five Guys in that faction. But maybe this will be like a breakout moment for him, and he can kind of make a mark here in this tournament. I don't know, but we've seen stories even play out recently with Sonata and Taichi, with Taichi kind of playing like a mentor role. Taichi thrives in situations like this, so who knows what kind of chemistry might spring up and what kind of bond and story might be presented with these two guys teaming together. It might be something really good. I mean, Dangerous Techers was like a standout for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this will be the first time since 2013 that they do a semis and a finals in World Tag League. So I'm looking at the World Tag League format history, and I'm being reminded of 2019 when there were 16 teams, one block, no final match. So
they really didn't care that year.
17 events, 16 teams, one block, no finals. Just you win the block, you win. At least we get a final match now. But yeah, we've had 5 years of one block World Tag Leagues, and we're finally back to 2 blocks, which I think is great. But then we're adding in the wrinkle of the semifinal. So I think from the A block, I do see Shota and Narita going through, and War Dogs probably, unless the AEW team has to get out of the block stage, because sometimes that's a deal you got to make.
Well, I'm looking at the finals and it doesn't show the order because that's going to be determined on the night of, but you've got Narita and Umino going up against House of Torture, which kind of that makes sense.
Well, yeah, right, because the House of Torture semifinal special, right? Oh God, please not them.
And you got Yano and Ishii against Hanari and Great Khan. The War Dogs against TMDK, which that could also be a deciding match. And then you've got Team Noah versus Team AEW.
Yeah, so that's a throwaway.
It probably is, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So
TMDK is interesting, though. They've had a ton of tag title shots already, but
if it was me, I would book Narita and Umino and then Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin, but I don't know that the company has that.
Well, then what are the semis then?
I would do War Dogs against Bishamon, and then Umino and Narita against Suji or Yuya and Taichi.
Oh, that's saucy.
Well, looking at the second night, you got Suji and Z versus Team CMLL, so that's probably nothing.
It's probably more of a CMLL
offer match,
consequential match, yeah. And that'll be really fun though.
Yeah,
it'll be good. And then you got Phantasmo and Hikuleo against Monster Sauce. So I'm assuming that's probably just going to establish Monster Sauce as a strong openweight tag team challenger.
Well, they already have a title match at Fighting Spirit Unleashed.
Right.
When is that? Is that before or after this?
No, that already happened.
That was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
I missed that. So but
it was the Vegas show.
But why are they wrestling on the final night then?
I guess maybe they'll get another
maybe,
shot.
I mean, they could run that back.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just them getting their win back, or maybe it is them getting another title shot.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 matches, you got Umura and Taichi against Bishamon.
Yeah, that's some sort of decider. So I guess they're probably not both going through then.
Yeah.
Maybe it's tough. And then you got Bad Luck Fale and Bonza against Suzuki and Nagata.
Yeah, that's the first tournament match on the card, if you ask me.
Maybe the Monster Sauce and the Hikuleo Phantasma match is some sort of decider.
Yeah. That's the one.
Unless you think unless Suzuki and Nagata get like a, go through after beating Bonza and Fale.
See, this is why I like the two from each block going through, because, and I get that it's a little less climactic, right? You kind of got to wait for the next night for there to be some like real big consequences with the tournament. But I like the two going through because it does create this air of mystery where you can't necessarily just go to that last night and be like, well, that's the final match, right? And I think that playing around with the format of all these tournaments over the last year or two has been, it has added this little bit of an air of mystery. So it's a little non-traditional from what we were used to during the heyday, but again, it's kind of a new era here. So we got to give some guys a shot to have sort of that big spot in the semifinals, but not necessarily like the humongous spot, right? So, yeah, I mean, with that said, I think we're all sort of writing off the Tsuji team, just because he's going to be in there with a super rookie, right? And then, it's tough to count on anything from the Rogue Army team. But I know that they like Archer and Zayn, and Zayn is going to get over again. We know we can almost be sure of that. The Taco Bell sponsorships will cometh.
Well, they did put they put Titan into a finals situation.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe Soberano Jr. and Atlantis Jr. go into the blocks.
That'd be sick.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah. Titan was a star, though. Titan.
Atlantis Jr. is going to be like ace of the company.
Right, but I went back and, with the new app, I've just been going back in and like looking at stuff that I enjoyed this year, just because now it's easy. And I was watching the last run from Titan, and man, he crushed that.
Yeah, he was great, and he was great in Junior Tag League also.
Listen, CMLL is where it's at. We got to pivot. We got to become a CMLL group here.
I would, I was thinking maybe I obviously, not obviously, people don't know, but I'm Hispanic, but I obviously can't speak Spanish.
I see it in the mustache.
Yeah, as evidenced by me not being able to say like whatever that Revelos match is. But like, what if I learned Spanish? Then I could watch Friday Night Arena Mexico, and I would know what the fuck they're saying. It would be sick.
Why do you need to know what they're saying? It's wrestling. Wrestling is a language of its own. That's what's so wonderful.
No, I know. I already do that, but it would be cooler if I could understand it. And then after that, I'll learn Japanese, and then I'll be able to understand what they're saying in the Japanese commentary too. And
then you can learn German, watch some WWE.
Not gonna do that.
No, that's the limit.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say Yoshihashi and Goto get through.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna take Monster Sauce. I think they beat Phantasmo and Hikuleo to go through into the block as like a monster tag team.
That's fun.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then on the other side, I think Umino and Arita and War Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the call. So yeah, I think it's going to be a super fun tournament. Also, with this World Tag League tour, we're going to get the debut of some new young lions from the New Japan dojo. So New Japan announced that 20-year-old Shuma Kato and 23-year-old Katsuya Murashima will debut during the World Tag League Tour. Kato will be debuting against Oscar Lube on Monday, and then Murashima will take on Yuto Nakashima on Tuesday.
So they're not going to face each other in their first match?
No.
That tells you everything. That tells you everything you need to know about these guys.
They would like to not break a bone. Nakashima, right?
Yuto.
Well, no, but he was in there with Uemura. So
yeah.
So what I think is the most interesting about debut Young Lion matches is actually what the elder Young Lion does in those matches and how they're able to kind of navigate that. And I think it's a part of their development too, right? So we're going to see a little bit out of Oscar, we're going to see a little bit out of Nakashima. And you know, the brand new young lions, maybe we'll see a little bit of that fighting spirit, a little bit of that fire, but you're probably not going to see a ton from them just yet. But
they're going to get fucked up. These two dudes are huge.
They are big.
Dude, Oscar's going to kill Kato.
I don't think these young lions are that big.
No, they look small.
I don't know one way or the other, but I know that Yuto Nakashima is large.
He's a big boy. And Oscar is a very big boy. So
yeah, he's filling out.
He is filling out. So that'll be fun to see. And Corkin, too. Corkin loves the young lions. Love a hype.
So next week, World Tag League, we've got the first night of action coming from Corkin Hall on November the 20th. That's Monday. Oscar Luebe versus Shoma Kato. Second match of the night. Atlantis Jr. and Soberano Jr. take on Doki and Taka Michinoku. Monster Sauce will be teaming with Suzuki and Nagata to take on Fale, Gato, Jack Bonza, and Taiji Ishimori. Bull Club, or the LIJ team of Bushi and Tsuji team up with Z to take on Just Five Guys, Sonata, Taichi, and Yui Mora. The Chaos team of Goto, Yo, and Yoshihashi take on the GOD team of Phantasmo, Hikuleo, and Jado. And then we get into block match action as the A block kicks off. TMDK will be taking on the Gates of Agony. Chaos will be facing the House of Torture. Team Noah versus Bull Club War Dogs. And then your main event of the evening will be Narita and Umino taking on the United Empire.
Yeah, I think that main event is going to tell a lot of what journey those two teams are going to have. I could see Narita and Umino having to have a come from behind kind of tournament, like they drop their first two and then win their last five kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first night of the tournament, so you might expect some upsets. You might expect, some heartbreaks, that sort of thing. But
how small is Keito Kiyomiya going to look in that match with his partner Oiwa, who's a beefy boy, and then you've got Coughlin and Kid, who are both also big guys. Kiyomiya is going to be the smallest guy in that match.
Yeah,
he'll be okay. He's also,
he'll look great, right? And Kiyomiya in Corkin, I've got some Kiyomiya in Corkin stuff. That man does not lose in Corkin Hall. So it's like a thing, and I don't even know if it's an intentional thing. But
it'll be so funny if he loses next week.
He eats the pin, right? Like Monday night, it's like Gato's just like, you know what? I don't give a shit what you're doing over there.
Yeah, what if we find out he's Oiwa's pin eater?
I know one man who will be real happy with that, and his name is Kevin Kelly.
Another guy who'll be really happy about that is Gabe Kidd.
Shoveling dirt. Yeah, those top two are going to be fun. And honestly, whenever Ishii gets in there with, no bullshit Tomohiro Ishii, potential Hall of Famer Tomohiro Ishii, which we'll find out here in a couple of days, when he's in there with Evil and Yujiro too, like that's typically like the lowest level of House of Torture bullshit. So we'll see how that goes. And honestly, that first tournament match is interesting too. With TMDK is like an established and really good tag team against Gates of Agony. Like I think that's a great kind of entry match for Gates of Agony too. So this is a great card.
Nice. And then the following night, we have the first night of B block action on November 21st, also from Corkin Hall. Yuto Nakashima versus Katsuya Murashima. Oscar Luebe and Hanma take on the Gates of Agony. Kiyomiya, Bolton, and Oiwa take on the United Empire's Cal Newman, Great O'Khan, and Hanare. Master Wato, Narita, and Umino, along with Tiger Mask, take on the Bull Club team of Coughlin, Kid, Geto, and Ishimori. The House of Torture's Dick Togo, Evil, and Yujiro take on TMDK. That's Fujita, Nichols, and Shane Haste. And then in tournament action, we have Suzuki and Nagata taking on Team CMLL. You have Monster Sauce taking on the Rogue Army. The semi-main event is Just Five Guys versus Tsuji and Z. And then the main event of the evening is Bishamon versus the Gorillas of Destiny, El Phantasmo, and Hikuleo. And that is champion versus champion there.
Yeah, I could see an upset there.
Uh-huh. I'm real hyped on that Suzuki Nagata versus Atlantis Jr. and Soberano Jr. too. I think that's going to be underappreciated, but on the way in, but I think super appreciated on the way out, especially in Corkin.
Yeah.
Corkin loves the CMLL guys. Like they love Fantasticomania. They love. I mean, like I think that's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Monster Sauce versus the Rogue Army.
I think it's a little weird that I'm gonna go completely off that topic. I think it's weird that Tsuji's going to debut his tag team partner the night before.
Yeah, on New Japan
like at
Road.
On a non-tournament
That's right, house show
match.
Yeah. Oh, that's
kind of
right.
odd.
On the A Block night, yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird booking. So I mean, maybe that does lend to the theory that it was supposed to be Shingo.
I strongly think it was. I mean, I could be wrong, but I really feel like that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that certainly lends itself to that.
Yeah, I think that there'll be some cool stuff here. I mean, I think the Suzuki and Nagata match against Atlantis Jr. Soberano, like you mentioned, that's going to be really fun and different and very interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our World Tag League discussion for this week. This coming Friday, we do have New Japan Road airing. Will be the first show airing on the New Japan World from Yamagata Big Wing this Friday, November 17th. So we got Oleg Boltin, Oscar Lube, and Yuto Nakashima taking on Tenkoji and Togi Makabe. Master Wato and Toru Yano taking on Gato and Taiji Ishimori. Hiroki Goto, Yo, and Yoshihashi taking on Callum Newman, Great Okada, Hinare. Suzuki, Umino, Tiger Mask, and Nagata taking on the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu Shingo, and Tsuji. Then we'll have House of Torture taking on Doki, Sanada, Taka, and Uemura from Just Five Guys. And then the semi-main event, which I think is going to be turned into a never six-man title match. Ren Narita, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Tomioka Hanma will be taking on Okada, Ishii, and Tanahashi. And then the main event will be the provisional KOPW title match, as Sho will defend against Taichi. And there was a press conference today where Sho revealed what the stips would be. So Taichi is not allowed to pick stips, and Sho has allowed House of Torture to provide the stipulations for the fans to vote on. So Evil's suggestion is a lumberjack strap match. Everybody will have straps on the outside, and
what kind of straps?
Those little belt straps when you do a strap match.
The ones you would use to move a refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
Then Dick Togo's suggestion was a 2-on-1 handicap match. So it would be Sho and Dick Togo against Taichi.
This is not for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship, so it cannot be a handicap match.
Then Yujiro's suggestion was a special weapons officer match where Yujiro would be in charge of fairly giving weapons to Sho or Taichi. and Sho said that he doesn't use weapons, so he's not familiar with using foreign objects. So it would be a challenge to him, and Yujiro would be fair in what weapons that he gives to each man. And then the last suggestion comes from Kanemaru, a special ref match where Kanemaru would be the special ref. And Sho,
I'm all in on the special weapons officer match.
The vote just went up, so you might want to go.
Have you voted yet, Jeremy?
No, it wasn't up when we started recording, so I guess it's up now.
It went up like half an hour ago.
What are y'all voting for?
Listen, here's what I know. Sho is the best at this. Whatever this is, he's so good at it. I hate it, but he's great. And his insane face on all these press conference pictures, it just really drills it and takes it home. But I mean, the weapons officer match is so funny that that's the only match on this list that won't make me want to bang my head against the wall because it's funny.
you asked us what we would be voting. Well, we collectively, meaning you and me, Jeremy, we have voted for the special officers. Actually, it's called the Weapon Keeper match, according to the X, formerly known as Twitter translation. But I will let you know, this is real time. So far, there have been just under 9,000 votes, and 74% of the voting has gone to Kanemaru, which makes sense because Kanemaru is probably like the actually most liked person in the group. And he's got the Riz, so that's why. He's
got the lead on the English Twitter as well, with 47%. That's a bummer.
Yeah. Well, Sho did say he feels like Kanemaru will call the match down the middle.
He did. He was very clear.
He'll be a great referee. So I guess we'll see what gets the vote and what the stipulation will be come Friday. So let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom 18. We got 2 more matches announced for the card. And like we mentioned earlier, it is going to be starting at 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time, January 4th, 2024. So we already knew we were going to get the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match with Sonata defending against Tetsuya Naito, Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson 2. The 3-way for the new title between Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, and David Finlay. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, Hiromu defending against El Desperado. The IWGP Junior Tag Team title match with the Bullet Club War Dogs of Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney defending against TJP and Francisco Akira. And recently added, the NJPW World Television Championship will be on the line as Zack Sabre Jr. will defend against the ace of the universe, Hiroshi Tanahashi. And then the Never Openweight Championship will be on the line as the Dragon Shingo Takagi will defend against Tama Tonga. Thoughts on the new matches added to the card?
I mean, Zack and Tanahashi always deliver, so I'll give them that. They have delivered 11 times previously, so yep. Tanahashi fighting for the title was intended for the young guys,
for the youths,
so Tanahashi going back to his U30 days. It's gonna be good, like objectively good, right? Is it super exciting? Maybe, right? Depends. Your mileage may vary on that one. Same with the Never Championship. I think people are always going to want the kind of Never Championship heyday to come back, like just beefy, like really awesome, real aggressive matches. And, I think Shingo and Tama have had 2 good matches. But again, it doesn't really excite the fan base. I don't see the fan base clamoring for Shingo Tama 3 in a 6-month time span, right? So I think, again, what we're seeing is a Wrestle Kingdom that will have some great stuff on it. And, like, everyone's going to show up and show out the way that they can, right? And I think most of this looks really good. But a lot of it's repeat. And I think some of that is because we're moving on, right? We're transitioning. We're going to get some guys in place for next year where we see a lot more fresh stuff. But yeah, I mean, you keep tabs on what people are saying, and no one's throwing, fireworks at the couple of matches that were announced just now.
Yeah, we have a question here from Def Triangle 720. Does it feel like they are redoing Tama versus Shingo because Tama re-signed with New Japan?
There's a lot of rumors out there about some of the provisions that were put into Tama Tonga's new deal. And I'm sure y'all can find those if you want to. So those rumors do exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm not privy to any of those, but I think, me kind of sensing that something changed recently with the booking probably falls in line with that theory as well.
Yeah. Then Kurt's 1987 says, there isn't one first-time matchup for Wrestle Kingdom after a year of committing to new talent and faction. Why does the biggest show of the year look so stale?
And that's part of why I think we're going to see something with the four, we'll call them the four musketeers, I guess. Whatever you want to call them. We're not calling them pillars. We're not doing that.
Horsemen.
But the four horsemen
of heaven.
It's not bad, actually. Might be able to swing that one. I think Ric Flair's got a patent on it, though. That's part of why I think that something with those guys is going to end up on this card. I hope I'm right, because it would give me something something fresh, something new, something exciting to look forward to. Truthfully, I think all these matches will be good, and some great. And I think that the whole show is about Naito again, right? So we're doing that whole thing again, and we're gonna run that back. And I think that Okada Danielson, assuming no bones break, it's got match of the year potential for sure, right? So there's going to be some really good stuff on this card. Hiromu and El Desperado deliver every time, and I think this is a hat tip to the work that they did during the pandemic, and they finally get that big dome match with what's going to be a pretty good crowd. I mean, tickets are moving for this show.
They're going to be near 40,000.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're definitely going to break 30. I'd be shocked if they don't break 30. And, a bunch of sections are starting to show sold out on some of the bigger ticket sellers. So my pal John Carroll's been tracking that. John will be there, second or third row, something like that. And so John speaks some Japanese and can read through what's going on there. And John keeps saying,
Sonata.
I think the match speaks to the Japanese audience. I think that's the truth, right? And the Naito story is so clear, right? And Naito had a great G1, and Sonata is he's a really good big match wrestler. I'm glad that Sonata will have one Wrestle Kingdom main event. I'm pretty sure it's probably his only, but I mean, I think the card is for the people who have stuck with New Japan, as well as the people who are looking forward to what's next. So I hope that they do plant some of those seeds for some of those younger guys. Because there's only 7 matches here. I would bet we see 12, including pre-show, KOPW, Rambo, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet we see 12 matches or so. So I think that there is some stuff left to be added. Obviously, we're going to have a tag team title match.
Well,
so
I just want to say one thing. Kurt's 1987, that would probably imply that you were born in that year, which means you're 1 year older than me. And, I don't know if that extra year has, made you loopy or something, because you said that there's no first time matches, and that is not true. We are getting Will Ospreay versus Jon Moxley versus David Finlay, the leader of the Bullet Club, for some title. All right.
For the first time.
First time ever. Did you guys ever did you guys ever see the Greatest 18 title?
I've heard you talk about it before.
So yeah, in the early 90s, New Japan had a Hall of Fame that was going to be called the Greatest 18 Club, and they introduced a new belt called the Greatest 18 Championship, and it was supposed to have inscribed the name of the 18 founding members of the Hall of Fame, and it was supposed to be an IWGP title equivalent, and it only lasted like a year or two, and it got merged into the IWGP title. But what they did was they took Antonio Inoki's old WWF World Martial Arts title, and they just put like a little thing over it and covered up the part that said WWF and the part that said martial arts, and just wrote Greatest 18 on it. It was literally the same physical belt. I'm hoping that whatever this new title is, they just bring out the IC title, and there's just like a little
international.
Yeah, they just put international over it. The IWGP International title.
Oh man,
I'm curious what that title is going to be called.
It's going to be called the AEW Japanese Heavyweight Championship.
The All Pacific.
Yeah. I did see that
I'm not happy about either of these matches. I mean, I'll save it for our preview and of Wrestle Kingdom, but these are not inspiring matches.
I do like that we have a significant part of the card already, though.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing this announce it after World Tag League thing, or, I'd have to go back and look and see when all the other stuff was announced last year or the year before, but I feel like we have more of the card earlier officially. Like, obviously those of us that pay attention, like, we knew where a lot of the stuff was headed the past couple of years, but I don't feel like they announced everything by mid-November. Almost all the title matches, at least.
The one thing I'll say, and I'll kick it over to Jeremy, is like, I do understand what you said, Chris, transition, but like last year was supposed to be a transition year. This year wasn't supposed to be, to me, another transition year. It just feels like we've had a lot of transition Wrestle Kingdoms, and like
last year felt like it was like an in-between.
Yeah, another in-between. And like, we spent all this time building up all these guys. We should be doing new things. We're not doing new things. It's not exciting. And most of the Western fan base is not that stoked about it. And I personally, like, just as my personal fandom, I don't want to see Tanahashi, Zach 12, and I don't want to see Tamatonga. That's all. That's it. I just
Wow.
Last year's card was I'm looking at it now, right?
I looked at it too, and I understand that there was stuff, but like, it feels like, why?
Listen, last year's card, if you want to talk the historic never open weight matches of Wrestle Kingdom, you can't not talk about Tama Tonga versus Carl Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
WWE superstar Carl Anderson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you do? An FTR? I mean,
I'm not going to go into like full the company is melting mode like JCast, but but they brought up a great point when they were like, Sonata, David Finlay, Tamatonga, these things don't feel like they're working. Most of us were very optimistic about them, and we gave them, a chance, and it's been quite a long time now, and we're not changing, we're not audibling, like, we're just going with it. And granted, they're selling a lot of tickets, but I'm not looking forward to Wrestle Kingdom very much right now. And yeah, there's gonna be good matches, but this just does not feel special to me. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who probably feel the same way, honestly.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm excited just because it's Wrestle Kingdom. Like, I know that the card is not maybe what people want, but like, on one hand, I'm like, it's Wrestle Kingdom. It's the biggest show of the year. A lot of these matches are going to deliver. Like Chris, like Okada Danielson's going to be great. The three-way is going to be great. Hiromu Despy is going to be great. Catch 2-2 and Ward, like, all these matches are going to be great, but I do get that they are not the freshest matchups. They're not the hottest programs. And, I have been beating the drum of what are we doing with Tsuji? What are we doing with Umino? Like, these guys, they had incredible matchups this year with Will Ospreay. Will elevated those guys. I feel like they should be capitalizing on the momentum of the Umino match. 5.75 stars from Uncle Dave. And I do think the tactile spot thing could be cool for Umino and Narita, but if I'm them, I'm like, all right, I'm booking Umino in a big singles match. Tsuji, I'm booking him in a big singles match. And so it does seem like they are a little hesitant still to, they say they're trying to speed up the process with pushing people, but then you have all these young hot stars, and as of right now, none of them are booked on the card. And I mean, some of them are, if they don't do what Chris's idea of the four-way, some of them are probably going to be the Rainbow.
No, my idea was not a four-way.
No, my idea was, and it wasn't a four-way, Jeremy. It was a fatal four-way. Also, what did Dave give it? What rating?
5.75. He's a coward. Didn't go the full 6.
So it was 4.5.
It's cute. Some would call that 5+.
I love 5+.
But everything you just laid out is the reason why I mean, I will be disappointed if they don't do a couple of special singles matches with the younger guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, you're right. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Right? Like, give me something, or I don't give them all singles matches against the next generation, right? Oiwa and Fujita and Bolton and Loibe, right? Like, give them all 5-minute, 10-minute, whatever, and let them go to town. I think that'd be sweet too, right? Like, but I don't know if there's space for that. But
I've got it figured out.
KOPW.
So we are gonna wind up with a 4-way. It's very simple. There's this thing at the beginning of the show. It's called a Rambo, and for the past few years, the guys that are the last four standing end up in a match. What if we end up with like the four horsemen of heaven end up as the final four of the Rambo, and then the main event the next night in Cork and Hall, or they're not going to Cork, and where the fuck they're going.
That would suck.
So they're gonna not even touch at Wrestle Kingdom, but they will all win. So
and main event. Honestly, that would get me hyped for New Year's Dash.
I don't want those guys to be mucked up in KOPW.
I don't either. I mean, I want to be clear.
It doesn't matter what you want, Jeremy. This is what you're getting. All right. That's what you've learned. That's what I've learned this year in New Japan. It doesn't matter what you want. You're getting this.
Last year, the winners were Great-O-Khan, Shingo Takagi, Sho, and Toriano.
Yeah, we're doing something new.
So at least it's better than that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't like that idea. That makes me sad.
Yeah. Well, one other thing here with the Wrestle Kingdom card, Okada was interviewed by Tokyo Sports and was asked whether he thought a fan vote should determine which of the matches should main event this year's show. And he said he wants the world title match to top the card, but if the fans want to vote, they should be allowed. He said, I can understand if I were to say it's okay to do it, but I think the customers are starting to say that. He said, I can understand if I say, why don't we do it? But I think the audience is starting to say that. It was 10 years ago, right? I want New Japan to have IWGP fights as the main event, so I hope they will never waver. But, well, if I'm going to do it, I'll do it. I think it's okay to do as much as you want to do.
I'm just going to jump right in, and that's all I'm going to say about this. I think pro wrestling media outlets that do not typically cover Japan should be very careful with machine translation and calling them quotes. Because I think you lose a lot of tone. I think you lose a lot of context. And I think that this got blown entirely out of proportion. And it's very clickbaity, and it's trash. So I don't doubt that he said something about all that, right?
Right.
But I think
we don't know the context.
I think that is a dangerous thing to do, and I think that the outlet that reported this and put it into quotations without mentioning that it was machine translated, I think they did their fan base or their reader base a disservice. And in turn, some key people on X or Twitter also picked up that and used it for drama and clout. And I think that I think this is a big non-story. And I think that certain outlets and one particular writer at that outlet should be very careful with doing this, because it blows up every time. And they never mention that it's machine translated. And again, I think you lose a lot of context. I think you lose a lot of detail. And I think it's mostly it's irresponsible. So that's all I'm going to say about this quote. Also, people forget that Okada lost the vote when he was in the match with Naito. They lost the vote together. Like, people don't remember. People are building that drama that it's a Okada Naito thing. They both lost the vote, the big one at least. So yeah, that's all I got to say about this. Be better, right? Be better, and not present company, right? I think this is a good news story.
Present company,
right?
Because the person that was irresponsible here was Jeremy by not telling us that it was machine generated. And, be better, Jeremy.
But this is a story that's been around, right? And it's going around. And I mean, I love you guys, right? Obviously, like whatever. Like, I think that this is worth talking about. But when I saw it on the run sheet, I knew that this was the soapbox I was going to get on, because I think, people like us cover this stuff and we're more careful by checking it out. And we know the details and the a little bit of the nuance of what a Google Translate will give us, right? Mm-hmm. I would never put actual quotation marks around something that is Google translated. I would mention that it's Google translated and that I don't know the nuance of the tone, right? I'm going to be honest with people that pay attention to me. And I've done that with Tokyo Sports. I've done that with, anything translated from the New Japan website, from the Japanese website, because stuff usually goes up there first. And like, sometimes I see it. We got to be better about that, right? And I, not necessarily present company, because I do think there's a story. We talk about what's happening in the New Japan community here on Keeping It Strong Style. You guys always have, as does JCast, as does Okada Shorts, like, it's worth talking about. But I think you've got to put that big ass asterisk next to it and say, I'm not really sure that this is exactly what this dude was trying to say. And ultimately you're putting words in Okada's mouth without really knowing what he's trying to get after. So, we're not going to see a fan vote. Naito's main eventing. Like, it's irresponsible to put that out there to the fan base from, I'm not even going to put the guy's name out there, because this is not the first time that this has happened with this particular writer. And I know that they do a lot of posts, and I know that they get a lot of clicks, and I'm glad that they're cashing some checks, but you gotta be better than that.
Here's one thing I will say, and everything you said was totally valid, Chris. In 2020, there was an election that took place, and there were speculations and accusations of election tampering. And I'm just telling you that if this were to happen and there were a way to reverse the main event from Sonata Naito to Danielson Okada, I would find a way to tamper with this election and ensure that. So they should not do this, because if they do, I don't care how much money it takes.
You're buying the bots.
I'm going to do something. I'm going to talk to Tony Khan and figure out who the bots are in WWE, get connected to those guys, and figure out how to get this shit reversed, because they're not going to be able to stop the vote. I'm going to fuck up the vote.
I mean,
we're getting Danielson Okada in the main event of the Tokyo Dome.
The problem is Danielson Okada wasn't that good the first time, so I don't have that much confidence in number 2.
That's how much, me either. That's how much I don't care about Sonata Naito.
The match isn't about Sonata Naito. The match is about Naito.
Also, it'd be so funny to see Naito not win a vote a second time. Oh my God, it would be so funny. So
this time you don't have Nakamura and Tanahashi in the other match. You also don't have that beautiful white belt. It doesn't even exist.
It doesn't matter who it is, because I'm going to mess with the vote with the bots.
This is a man. Do you even own a computer? Aren't you on your phone right now? I'm on a computer
right now. It's my work computer. No, I don't own it, but I'm on it right now.
Yep.
He stepped his game up.
Big AI bots over there from Josh.
Oh man, but yeah,
running your bots off your Android phone or whatever.
I'm gonna figure out how a bot works, and I'm gonna get some.
You're over there googling what is a bot.
I know what a bot is. They put porn on our Facebook page. Have you seen that, Jeremy?
Yeah, on the Wrestling Squirt Circle.
Yeah, the bots keep putting porn up. I keep striking it down, so I know what a bot is.
A bot is not you.
Yeah, but I'm going to get an army of bots so that I can collectively manifest that we don't have to watch Naito Sonata in the main event.
You're going to wake up at 10 a.m. on January 4th, and you're going to turn on Wrestle Kingdom, and you're going to enjoy the shit out of it.
Golden roll call, middle of the card.
Oh, wow. What would be funnier? Naito being a semi-main event, or the roll call getting messed up again?
Oh, I'm here for the roll call getting messed up again.
It'd be funnier if he was in the semi-main event.
No. If that roll call gets interrupted again. Ooh, the heat. And Kenta got the heat. But could you imagine the second time? Because we're not doing this again. We're not doing another Naito main event. This is it.
Yeah. If they do it, it needs to be one of the young guys.
Yeah.
Have Suji turn on that man.
Suji turns, yeah.
Gene Blaster.
You could also do that after the roll call.
Yeah. He calls them all out there, and
yeah, that would be the way. Yeah. Actually, I think Shingo turns because Shingo never got a title shot.
He should win the title, and they should put him up on their shoulders, and then Suji gives him the thumbs down.
Wait, in 2020, did Kenta lose the Never title earlier that night?
Yeah.
Didn't he lose it?
He lost it to Goto.
Yeah. He lost it to Goto, and then he came out and ruined the roll call. He came out
and challenged for the title.
So like the classic thing is losing up. So Shingo, right? Maybe that's why Shingo needed the belt, so you can run it all back.
I'd be down for Shingo.
I'm down. So, but then Naito gets the roll call, and you get the next program. Heel Shingo. I'm here for that. Let's go. We just booked it.
Shingo.
Now you're stoked. I can see it in your eyes, Josh.
I'm stone-faced right now, literally. I have no emotion about this.
All right, let's move on. We're going to just go over really quickly New Japan Lone Star Shootout, which happened last
Why would
Friday.
We go over it quickly? We need to go in depth because we're one of the only people that watched it.
Yeah, there was
like 45 people in the crowd.
Yeah, including Floyd.
This was the actual first live show on the New Japan World.
That's true, yeah. But Japanese commentary, only English over on Fight TV. So the show opened up. We had the Strong Survivor match. Matt Vandergriff defeated Barrett Brown, and this is one of the questionable bookings here in the pre-show.
Banger.
Barrett Brown was like an established character on New Japan Strong, Stray Dog Army, and he got stuck in a Strong Survivor match where it's a kind of like a loser goes home. So like, is he just done now with New Japan?
He's been coaching at the academy,
right?
So maybe he's gonna coach.
How did Matt Vandergriff get this match? He won
the last Strong Survivor match from Fighting Spirit Unleashed.
Yeah, well, he's the Fighting Spirit champion of New Japan now. So the Strong Spirit. What is it called? The Strong Survivor.
He's a survivor. Be a survivor.
Yeah, he's Be a Survivor, like the G1 that one year. He's the champion of Be a Survivor now.
Then after that, we had Fred Rosser defeating Filthy Tom Lawler, 13 minutes and 3 seconds. Another questionable slotting there.
Well, the good thing is we got that post-match angle where they were showing animosity, but also respect against one another, which was for sure leading to them being a tag team in World Tag League. But it didn't happen, so I don't know what the fuck this was. I don't know why it was on the opener. Again, the disrespect to Team Filthy, they need to just go somewhere else. Like, I don't know, because this company does not give a fuck.
Yeah, also, one of the top feuds from the Strong brand and one Strong match of the year 2 years in a row. Opening pre-show, gave him 13 minutes. It was a fine matchup, but yeah, they deserve more, and it'll be interesting to see where both these guys go from here. Then we had Atlantis, Masquerada, and Tiger Mask defeating Hechicero, Rocky Romero, and Ultimo Guerrero. Seems like they were teasing a future program between Rocky and Masquerada 2.0.
Well, they did face off in the finals of that. I think it was the Leata de Plata tournament this past year, where Masquerada beat Rocky to win the tournament, and that's one of the best excursion matches of the year. So I watched this match with a training partner of mine, and this is one of my favorite things that happened in the entire night, and I'll never forget it. At one point, all the guys are on the outside, and Atlantis hits the ropes on the opposite end like he's going to do a plancha to everybody. And just before he gets to the point to dive, he stops and unironically steps through the ropes and then does the most half-assed crossbody you've ever seen in your entire life. And my training partner is like, that's a Josh Smith spot. He's like, that's exactly what you would do if you were wrestling right now.
Oh man, that man was not trying to get hurt in front of 45 people.
I love this match. It was so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was a fun match. Hey, Mosca Dorada 2.0. I think he's raw. One with shooting star press. I think he's dope.
Very raw, like green. There was quite a few like mistakes he made, but he is like
that's sort of the style though. So.
No. He was fucking up a lot in that match.
I just chalked it up to like, well, lucha gonna lucha.
Yeah, he's lucky. Hechicero was like saving his ass a lot of times in that match.
Yeah,
Hechicero's so great.
Oh yeah, dude. The way his submission, his whole transition stuff was awesome. And yeah, he was a great base for Dorada's high-flying stuff. Mm-hmm. Then after that, we had a no disqualification match with Toro Yano defeating the bad boy Joey Janela.
This is a match that happened.
I thought it was going to be funny, but then it was just more hardcore than funny. I don't know. It didn't exist where I thought it should be. It should have been one or the other. It was kind of a little bit of both. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gotta have a plunder match on the US shows. Gotta do it.
That's exactly what it was. They had to have a plunder match.
You gotta do it. And you couldn't do it with Kingston.
Yeah.
And couldn't do it with Rosser. So call in the plunder master, Joey Janela.
Yeah. Match was fine. Yano ended up getting the win here.
I was surprised that Yano won.
I wasn't.
I don't know why I was surprised by that, but I was. Like, I saw it happen. I was like, oh, Yano won?
One quick thing, and I know other people didn't have this issue. Maybe it was just me, but my feed went out like 14 times during me watching this event, and I've never had any feed drop while I was watching New Japan World. So I know it's a new app and everything. And also it was choppy the entire time. Like it was like lagging. And I don't know. I've never had that happen before.
Honestly, it's going to sound weird. I had this on like 3 different TVs as I was just like doing stuff around the house. And I didn't have a single issue.
Wow.
So Apple TV app, I guess. I also had it on my phone at some point because I was just wandering around my backyard with my dogs. So I was really just trying the app, truthfully, and this was my best chance to do it. So I loaded it up and made sure I could get logged in on all my various devices, and I didn't have a single issue with the feed. So must have been a you thing, man. You gotta get your bots on it.
Yeah, no, it's not me. It's New Japan. They suck.
Glad you're here.
I had
TV Acai.
I had the Fight TV.
We can talk about TV Acai all we want.
I had the Fight TV feed, and it was actually fine for me. So,
yeah, I watched a little bit of the Fight TV feed too, and it was like the audio was good. Everything was well balanced. It's a wild experience. It's very different.
It was just super dark.
Yeah.
Now, if they could just get some bodies in there and raise the lights up a little bit, yeah.
So after that, we had Bull Club team of Alex Coughlin, Chase Owens, and Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd defeating the team of Tamatanga Tangaloa and the Jet Setters Kevin Knight and Kushida. So
Kushida's the loser.
Yeah.
What a weird run Kushida's had since he's been back. And by weird, I mean terrible. Like, he came back, they kind of hyped his return, and then this is what we're doing. It's very strange.
He pissed somebody off.
That man got hand, foot, and mouth disease, and it was a wrap after that.
Someone's like a germaphobe, like a freak, like Vince McMahon. He's like, God damn, that guy's got hand, foot, and mouth disease. And like, well, he doesn't have any more. He's losing tonight. Tell him he's doing the job.
He's nasty.
He's also coaching at the academy, I thought.
Yeah, I think he's the advanced class trainer.
Yeah.
So,
listen, job's a job, I guess.
Yeah. Then we had the strong openweight tag team title match. ELP and Hikuleo defeated the West Coast Wrecking Crew 12 minutes and 2 seconds. So yeah, this was the big build after they had attacked the champion at the last show, demanded a match, tired of all these throwing together tag teams getting the spotlight, but they were not able to get the job done here.
Disappointed, but not surprised.
Match was pretty good though.
Match was fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I watched this show with the Japanese commentary because it was free, and then I had a buddy over and I was drinking, so like I was not really paying that much attention. This was kind of just like we're hanging out watching it, but like shit's happening, but we were just also shooting the shit. So probably should have had a more objective mind, but like I was just like, damn, West Coast Wrecking Crew lost. That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton here that's really advancing a lot of stuff. So, I mean, I can understand why people didn't watch this or go to this or really sink their teeth into it. So, yeah.
Royce Isaacs was looking cut, though.
Yeah, looking jacked, yeah.
Yeah, he's vascular.
He was ready. He was ready for that World Tag League run.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks.
So after that, we had Mystico defeating TJP. A really good matchup here. Mystico, he's been on a good run since he's been back in CMLL. TJP, super fluid, great guy in the ring. And so, yeah, it was a fun matchup.
Yeah, I think this was probably like my favorite match of the night. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, mine too.
So yeah, Mystico got the win with the La Mystica, tapping out TJP. Then we had a strong openweight title match. Eddie Kingston defeated my man Satoshi Kojima, 10 minutes and 43 seconds.
This was fine. I felt like this was a match where these two guys were like, not going to go all out. There's like 50 people out there, so.
There were more than 50 people there, but
there was 55 people there.
I like the Eddie Kingston stuff, but I like him way more when he's chasing. Mm-hmm. So Eddie,
I just think he's inconsistent.
Sure. I also want him to wrestle like non-legends every now and then.
Hey, he's doing his bucket list tour. He's getting all the legends, you know.
The thing is like,
yeah, but his bucket list looks a lot different than Danielson's, and I much prefer the Danielson bucket list.
He has to win right now. Like he has to win all his matches, and if he's like facing the young guys, he's going to beat them. So I'm fine with it. He might as well just beat up the legends.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like he's going to get a young person next, actually. So after he won the match with the Northern Lights bomb, Gabe Kidd came out and attacked him, said he wants to challenge for the championship. He's mentioned that Finley says bring belts and bodies, and he's going to bring both. So I don't know if
they had a match, right?
They had
incredible.
Really
yeah, right.
I think that's one of the best matches in the history of Strong.
Yeah.
You think they do that at Battle in the Valley?
Wrestle Kingdom.
You think?
I don't know for a fact, but there is a part of me that thinks they might do that. I was being facetious a moment ago, but
maybe
like he's probably going to want to work the Tokyo Dome, and like Tony Khan's probably going to push for that.
Yeah, and it's a way to get Kid something to do if he wins. That would change all of our thoughts about Tag League a little bit, but
not mine. I think they could still be.
They still go to the semis or the final, even. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that could excite some people, and it puts Kid in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
He's been so great. That dude's the real leader of the Bullet Club. That's my leader.
That's my dog for real.
We're talking about elections.
The real leader of the Bullet Club is the friends we made along the way.
I don't think that aligns with the Bullet Club's way of business.
Well, speaking of Bullet Club, they ate a L the next match. Dave Finlay and Kenta losing to John Moxley and Wheeler Utah of the Blackpool Combat Club.
What happened here is, like I said earlier, I was not paying full attention, but then suddenly Dave Finlay came on the screen, and I was like, shh, everyone stop talking. Let's lock in. Dave Finlay's on the screen. We need to hone in on what's happening, and we waited with bated breath and anticipation. And when this match was over, everything I had said previously about not wanting to see the triple threat was completely subsided. I'm now totally bought in to Jon Moxley and David Finlay and Will Ospreay. What an incredible preview match.
Yeah, it was so good. I was hoping they would take Will out the match and just be Moxley versus Finlay. That's what we really need.
That'd be a sweet match. I would be excited about that.
Not without
I wouldn't.
not on Wrestle Kingdom. Put that on like New Japan Road.
On a road.
Road to road.
Yeah.
Yeah, put that shit on some road. What they should, I mean, those two guys should just fight each other for the right to face Will Ospreay, and then Dave Finlay loses, and then we just get Moxley and Ospreay. That'd be great.
It was great. I sat there in the Odeum in Villa Park, Illinois, and I watched it when it happened. It was lovely. I think I'm the only person that saw it too, because that was a show that was very choppy on Fight TV.
Yeah, so they try to build some momentum and interest here for the three-way, but not sure if that was quite accomplished here. But Moxley and Wheeler get the win. Then after that, we had Zack Sabre Jr. successfully defending his TV title against Speedball Mike Bailey, 14 minutes 54 seconds. I would say this is probably match of the night right here.
Oh yeah, this rocked. As expected.
It was good.
They did do a time limit tease, which they haven't been doing a lot of with the TV title matches recently. So I did appreciate that. I thought they were going to time.
It got that right down to the wire.
And I was sure they were going to try to, kind of protect Bailey a little bit and go to time, but no dice. Zach wins in the final 6 seconds.
Yeah, thought it was a really fun match. The crowd really woke up for this one. Lots of great submission stuff from Zach. Speedball, of course, doing his thing, the kicks, the shooting star, the flips, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it was a really fun matchup.
Probably should have been the main.
Yeah. Then semi-main event, we had the IWGP Women's title. Mayu Iwatani defeated Stephanie McCurr, 11 minutes and 28 seconds.
It's good.
Yeah, another good matchup here. A lot of people really behind Stephanie McCurr after the Mercedes Moné match. So yeah, this was a good match. I feel like on a bigger stage or even in Japan on a Stardom show, the match probably would have been better and gone over more. But for this stage, I thought, it was still pretty good. And then the main event was the Never Openweight title. Shingo Takagi successfully defending against Trent Beretta.
25 minutes, 44 seconds. This was fine.
It was long.
Everything on the show was fine. But nothing really, stood out or blew me away, honestly. It was just it was a show.
Yeah, I think if you're going back to it, Mystico TJP was good, and Zach Mike Bailey. Those are the matches to watch if you want to get a vibe on, the top stuff from the show.
Yeah, I felt the Shingo Trent match was paced very weird.
Main event pacing. They did work hard. Trent has stamina. That dude's always been able to go long. Yeah. Shingo had a cowboy hat.
Yeah, which we got a question from Dan Coffin. Where does Shingo Takagi rank on the list of cowboy wrestlers?
Right under Stan Hansen.
Yeah, he's under Stan Hansen.
It's like Stan Hansen, Bradshaw, Shingo.
He's higher than Bob Orton. I have him higher than Bob Ellis. He's up there. So, yeah. Post-match, Shingo was confronted by Tama Tonga, where it was solidified that we were for sure getting Shingo and Tama Tonga.
Woo!
And the crowd went mild.
The crowd went.
Yeah.
Home.
The crowd went home.
So yeah, that was Lonestar Shootout. Go watch it. Go pay $20 on Fight TV. So we have a question here. Def Triangle 720 says, would it be better if New Japan cut the U.S. shows down to a 2-hour format instead of 3 hours long?
No. Cut a lot of the Japanese shows down from 4 hours to 3 hours. These shows are fine. They happen like quarterly.
Probably
Maybe a little more than that.
I mean, this one, I think the part of the problem with this show is that they had just done the Vegas show.
Yeah.
And the Vegas show was good. I mean, like, I think the Vegas show landed more than this.
Definitely, yeah.
And then this one just kind of, it came together quickly. There's enough on it that it was fine, but I think you want a little more separation, right? You want to do like 6 of these shows a year. Yeah. And I think that's like the right amount to weave in a little bit of domestic storyline, weave in some of the, strong title stuff.
I just want higher quality.
Yeah. And
stop going to Texas.
The next one's usually, Battle in the Valley's typically been, I almost want to say it's been the best U.S. show over the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. The most consistent, at least, where like somebody big comes over. They did Tanahashi Okada. They had Mercedes do her match there last year.
Then did you look at Jonah match on there?
They did Jonah Okada, right?
I think so, yeah.
They had Jay White's last match was at Battle in the Valley last year. So like big stuff sort of happens on that show. Now that show this year is 9 days after Wrestle Kingdom. So I don't know if that's sort of the fallout. But I'm interested to see what they do with the booking of that one. But, I mean, they do. I would like to see them move these shows around a little bit, right? We got a bunch of shows in Garland, Texas. We've had this Battle in the Valley every year. I think it would be a benefit to them to move some of these shows to different markets. Yeah, I think that would be key to getting people excited about them again.
Yeah, I think too, like running it in like some of those old Ring of Honor Northeast markets. Like, why are they not going like 2300 Arena? Like some of these towns where I know they have in the past, but like I feel like in the last year or two, like they haven't really.
I mean, at this point, really,
they just did 2 nights at the 2300 Arena.
Oh, that was for the All-Star. Yeah.
I think you follow where Impact's been running. So, in Chicago, you go to Cicero Stadium and, that's their buddy venue now. I think there's a lot of stuff on the East Coast. They haven't run New York City in a while. New York is famously, expensive to run, but it's kind of their favorite city. So, I think they were probably disappointed with the Rumble on 44th Street last year. Mm-hmm. And so they, I guess they are moving some stuff around, but yeah, I mean, surprised they haven't come back to Chicago. I'm surprised they haven't run New York City in a while. And then there's a bunch of other markets, right? I mean, even you guys down in Tampa, like you guys, typically people show up for that stuff. And they were running around doing strong tapings at a lot of these places, but a show with some excitement and a couple titles, I think you could pull in 1,000 people in some of these markets. You could pull in 1,000 people in Chicago, no doubt.
Give us more. They said quality over quantity. Give us better quality. Stop going to Texas. Stop going to Texas.
Yeah, it's not a great market for you.
It's not working.
I mean, it didn't work in Dallas for the G1.
Yeah, like if the G1 is not drawing, like New Japan Strong, yeah,
it's not it. Yeah. Are we ready to jump in the news?
One last thing. Last Commission 7252 said the U.S. shows for New Japan Strong are way too long for it to be 4 hours. Would you lower the time of the matches and keep it 7 to 8 matches, or lower the match card and keep it to a standard 6 to 7 matches?
Well, I mean, it's not really 4 hours. There was a pre-show, and then it's a 3-hour main card, which is pretty normal.
But I think these shows need to be that 8-match, like core.
I'm fine with that.
Korakuen style, 2.5 hours. Those Korakuen Hall shows typically land 2.5. Maybe they they eke up to 3 if you've got a really big main event. But like a Road to Korakuen show, it's going to be 2.5 hours. It's going to be 8 matches. I think like that's the formula that works. Just do that.
Yeah.
Throw one big title match, like a real title match on it. Make it count. Make it something. Maybe you do 2, right? Because you got all these different strong titles and the women's title and all that stuff. But like, you know, get your format down. I know you want to get a bunch of guys some work, but like clearly that's not what this is about.
Yeah, I mean, halfway through this card, I'm like, oh my gosh, how many more matches are left? So yeah, I think they could definitely trim down the cards and allow guys to have more time in matches, but then not have like, 10 matches on the main card.
Nice. Well, what a review for Lonestar Shootout. We're going to move on to the news. So the first bit of news here, the new app has launched. We had a question from Death Triangle 720. He said, should New Japan have waited another year before the new launch of the app?
Why?
Yeah, I don't see a reason why they would.
I think that a lot of people initially have had dissatisfaction with, the things that are on the way that are not here yet. Honestly, I think a lot of that is probably just impatience, because they are going to roll out a lot of the features that we had on the old app. That stuff is coming, but I'm very happy with the fact that we do have HD. I'm happy about a new interface. I think like the app is working pretty well. And like,
it's not a new interface, it's an interface.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, for years, it's been, we need an app. We need an Apple TV app. We need a phone app.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah.
Get fucking stoked. Get into it. Like this, like, I know
it only took 9 years.
I know the archive isn't up, right? And like, yes, I would be, it will be way more fun to go through the archive in this format than it was in the last format. It'll come. You'll get there. Right? I mean, but I'm sure the data that TV Asahi and New Japan has is that most of what people use the app for is pretty recent, right? Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people are digging into, the archives. I do wish they would have launched with like 2017 on instead of 2021 on. Because then you get most of this kind of recent golden era, but then someone's going to bitch that they don't have the Wrestle Kingdom 9 or something, like everyone's always going to want something else. Let me tell you what, there's a lot of places to find that stuff if you really want it, and it'd be a little bit easier to manage yourself.
I mean, there are some things like search functionality is not great, and
That's
I'm
the
sure
same as it was.
No, I mean, like it doesn't work like at all.
It works the same as it did on the last one.
No,
no.
I typed in Will Ospreay and nothing came up.
Well,
nothing comes up
because nothing's broken out into matches.
Right, exactly.
They're probably not gonna do that for the archives. That would be my bet. They're not gonna break out all those matches.
Maybe not. I don't know. I think they will. They had it on the old app, but I think it's just going to take time for all that stuff to come and catch up. And
then they should have waited 3 years, because that's how long that's going to take, because that's a billion different files that are probably mostly unnecessary when you could just timestamp them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of what we've seen from the app is positive personally. So
I think the app's great. I've watched more random New Japan stuff in the last week that it's been up than I ever had before, because I can just flip it on. And I just like thumb through and I'm like, oh yeah, I like that match. I'll watch that again.
Yeah, I'm digging it so far. I think the interface is good. It works. I think it's very user friendly. It's clean layout. And I think as time goes on, it's going to grow and get better. And with that,
I do have one complaint. Me personally, I don't like the fast forward feature. They have like a 2 and then 8 and then like 16, but it doesn't matter how fast you make it. It doesn't go very fast at all. It takes forever to fast forward.
That's interesting.
Hopefully it updates, but like, for me, if I'm like watching a show and they don't have the matches like broken out and you want to get to the main event, it takes a really long time to get to that main event and you don't know where it's at yet. So hopefully they do add timestamps and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and also with this new app, brought the end of the NJPW EXT I just want to give a shout out to Danny, all the work that he did over the years with that the EXT and making New Japan World usable with that extension.
Yeah, I wanted to say something in the beginning, but I didn't want to bury the lead with Kevin Kelly and upstage him. But yeah, thank you, Danny, for everything that you've done and supporting this show. And hopefully, we're able to work together again in the future. So, November 11th.
I will hit my fast forward 30 seconds one less time now when I listen to Keepin' It Strong. I had it down to a science. I knew I was like, I've started it. I'm gonna hit it like 8 times, and then I'm gonna land exactly where Jeremy says, "Josh, how you doing?"
November 11th would see Anjo Rainy Days Kazuchika Okada's homecoming event sell out of the Tosho Arena in Anjo City. There was no broadcast, no video of the event. It was designed for Okada's hometown crowd to witness an extra special card announced on the day of. So basically, Mystery Vortex. But the main event of the event saw the Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles defended against the Just Five Guys team of Sonata, Yuimura, and Taichi. Post-match, the champions were confronted by Tomoaki Hanma, Ren Narita, and Ryozuki Taguchi. And Friday in Yamagata, Hanma's own homecoming, they're going to see them facing off with the champs. And they did request to make that match a title match for the Never Openweight title. So probably why Jeremy was saying earlier he thinks that match is going to be switched. So New Japan has also announced their touring schedule for January and February 2024 with these major events announced. The New Beginning in Nagoya on January 20th, New Beginning in Osaka, February 11th, Fantastica Mania running from February 12th to February 19th, New Beginning in Sapporo, February 23rd, and New Beginning in Sapporo again on February 24th. Other news, Satoshi Kojima is set to wrestle at MLW's One Shot later next month. MLW has now confirmed that Kojima will face Tom Lawler at the event.
Let's go. Bread Club, baby. Strap him up. The greatest MLW champion ever.
Part of that major partnership with MLW, Yeah. So, and then finally here in the news, Alex Shelley and Super Chris Sabin will take on Zack Sabre Jr. and
Josh Alexander
at Final Resolution on December 9th, live on Impact Plus, YouTube, and fight from the Don Koloff Arena in Toronto, Canada. Jeremy, you got to put the actual names, not just their Twitter handles. I'm like, who the fuck is walking?
Well, hey, man, I copy and pasted straight from Twitter. I figured by now you would know that Josh Alexander is the walking weapon.
I know he is, but I'm just like, I'm reading it, and I'm like, who the fuck is walking weapon? All right, that's going to do it for the news.
All right, some few questions here, and then we'll get out of here. MJSPR says, who from NJPW should appear in AEW's G1?
Pardon me, that's the G2. It's the grade 2 climax.
There was a G2 climax once, actually.
So it's the G6.
I don't know. Nobody. They've only got 12 spots. They really should not have anybody from New Japan at all.
No, yeah. I don't think anyone's free.
Yeah, I mean, you got...
Watch Tanahashi get booked for the 6 matches or whatever. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
I wouldn't be surprised, but they should not do that. They shouldn't.
Please don't do that. But also, it wouldn't surprise me at all. No. And it would be, I'll cackle when it happens.
Question here from Barry Walsh. Could I get some help from your Oracle knowledge? I know who the aces of the company have been throughout the games, but can't seem to find out who the dark aces were apart from Nakamura and possibly Naito and Chono. Can you let me know who they were? I want to do a deep dive over the holidays.
I think I had this all memorized not too long a while back, but so it probably starts with Riki Choshu, right? And then after Choshu, you'd say Chono. And then after Chono, it's probably Tenzan. And then after Tenzan, probably Nakamura and then Naito.
Yeah, that
sounds about right.
That's about how I would timeline it. And I don't think we're missing it. It's really a bunch of guys who didn't have big runs with the IWGP title, but had great G1s.
Yeah.
And won a bunch of G1s. I mean, honestly, because it made them into these major threats, but they never really went over the hump and had like a really established title run or series of title runs.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there's like anybody before Choshu that would have like fit the bill for that. And I'm not sure that there was. I mean, the three big names would have been like Sakaguchi and Strong Kobayashi, but I don't know. Maybe Sakaguchi. Hard to say.
Young Line 95 says, could a Forbidden Door do well in Japan since 1/4 of their wrestlers wrestled in NJPW and familiar guys from NJPW could do well at Ryogoku Sumo Arena or at the Tokyo Dome?
I think that's...
If it's promoted, right?
Yeah. And I think you see a lot of those matches already peppered into just traditional New Japan shows. It's not like AEW where you don't really see that until Forbidden Door, right? Mm-hmm. You see guys like Moxley come over. You've had Jericho come over. And now Jericho's doing stuff with DDT. Like, you see a lot of that stuff just land on, New Japan proper shows. So I don't know that they may not feel the need to do that in Japan. But I do think if they tried to or wanted to, they would do something more like Ryogoku, or maybe Budokan, right? So you do something a little bit different. I don't know that that's a Tokyo Dome level show for the domestic audience over in Japan. I think it could get there, right? If you really went for it, it could. But it would have to be a card at the level of Forbidden Door in the US, and I just don't think that they've got. I don't see that in the cards. But something I think it would be neat to do a crossover, even a couple of Korkins with some mid-level stuff like they used to do with Ring of Honor or Rev Pro. And like they just did with Strong. Maybe Korkin's too small for that, but it'd be a hot crowd.
Yeah, I recently did a Google like a Google search. What's it called? Google
Trends.
search. Yeah, Google Trends. I was talking with a buddy, and we were kind of looking at the different Japanese pro companies where they stand recently, and just for like shits and giggles, I put in WWE, and WWE was pretty close to a lot of the secondary Japanese companies in terms of Google Trends, but then I put in AEW and it was like way below everything, like crazy below. And I was like, oh shit, like they're not searching for this over there. And like, I'm sure that people do know about it. It's in the magazines and stuff, but I think that they could probably do like a Sumo Hall or something like that with New Japan, but they would need to really promote it right if they were going to do that. And they would need to do Forbidden Door in Japan with the same level of show.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the advertisement. The emphasis would have to be on Kenny Omega is coming to Japan. Chris Jericho is coming to Japan. Like all these top guys that the Japanese audience is familiar with, use those guys as the draws for this show, and not necessarily like the AEW branding. Let's Commission 7252 says, do you think New Japan will release the footage of the Rainy Day Anjo show, or at least the main event, in a few days or in a week, just like the Nagata show where he faced Okan last year? They waited a couple days to release the footage of that show.
Maybe, but it'd be nice if I don't have to review it. So.
If they taped it, and they probably did, maybe. I feel like it would have gone up already, though.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it was just a special house show for Okada's hometown.
I hope Hanma pins Okada
on New Japan Road.
Do you think that trio goes into the... Do you think Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii go into Wrestle Kingdom as champs? Or somehow they get it off of them? I know it doesn't really...
It wouldn't matter.
But I don't know. It is this weird...
I think they go in as champs, and then you pick back up with them in the new beginning.
Shoot,
I disagree. I think
Battle in the Valley.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna see, a special roll-up victory, Hama's going to pin Okada. Let's go to Gooch.
I mean, Taguchi's got a long history with the Never Six Man.
Yeah. Adam Sensei 82 says, if you could have dinner with any New Japan wrestler alive or dead, which restaurant would you take Yota Tsuji to, and would you pay or split the bill?
He pays it with his smile, so it's all done.
If he pays, you have to put out. So,
and we all know that Gene Blasts is not easy to take. So you best put that card on the table.
Oh man. The Broken Poet won to this me Bash behind on everything in the past 2 months. Anything that's a must watch from Royal Quest onwards that I need to check out, that's a must. Cheers, lads. Bash.
nope. It's all
Yeah, you got to watch Osprey
and Umino, yeah.
Osprey. Umino.
it's mid. You don't need to watch none of that. You can
Get
just
out of here.
just jump into World Tag League.
I mean,
top two from Royal Quest are really good.
Yeah.
Osprey Umino is really good. I mean, honestly, Power Struggle was a great show, in general. So pick your favorite guys and follow them around.
yeah.
Go to Cage Match and look up the highly rated matches. That's what I do.
Yeah, sort by the day filter.
Yeah.
Get all your +5 matches.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the last question. That's going to wrap it up. Chris, thank you for coming on. I know it was last minute booking and scheduling, and
Had to make it happen.
yeah, so glad to have you. Go ahead and plug your stuff. Tell our listeners where they can find you online. Anything you got going on.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the Chris Samsa. You'll probably hear that less going forward from our pal Kevin Kelly. Though I'll be around. I'll still be doing what I've been doing. No change to my schedule. So I will be helping out and sending things along to my pals at the broadcast table. I'm working on a bunch of stuff. At some point, I'll be on here plugging all sorts of cool stuff, which is gets more and more imminent. I think we're putting together a way for people to interact with the statistics and data like I do. So we're gonna have something online here, hopefully maybe by the end of the year or beginning of next year. So that's I'm working with a web developer to make that happen, to translate everything I've got into some pretty big databases and make things filterable for people to kind of look at things the way I do. So it's going to be pretty neat. The beta versions are pretty neat. We're working on stabilizing and then formatting and making it look nice and all that. So that's kind of often into the distance, but otherwise, yeah, find me on Twitter or X at the Chris Samsa, and otherwise that's kind of the best place to find me these days.
Nice. So yeah, guys, make sure you follow Chris, check him out. So yeah, thanks again for joining us, Chris, and I'm sure we'll have you back on some point for Wrestle Kingdom preview. So we're just
as is tradition.
Yeah, we're just a few months away from the Tokyo Dome. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Next week, we'll be back to review New Japan Road and the first night of World Tag League. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation. Visit socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media. On X, we are at KI Strong Style. You can follow the network at Social Suplex. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan on Facebook, facebook.com/Social Suplex. Also find us in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Instagram, we are at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the pro black guy. Josh is Keeping a Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Sumowitz. Imps WWE Adventure with The Implications, Matthew Mayer. And Wrestling Art with Chris Things. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Itch a bum.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.